I need that sports encyclopedia. Where you at, Steve Kim? Got Trent in the cut. Yeah.
Where you at, man? In the gym shooting, I'm Durant. You ain't shooting John Moran.
Darnell is the Ball State legend. I'm the Warren Central High School legend.
I'm proving with a reliable source, straight from the mouth of the horse. Smitty and JB and Smitty from West Coast to Yost.
I love talking ball. It's nice to connect with guys that are like-minded and just are real and genuine.
Better stay in your lane. Hop into
you are fucking insane. Dude, what? You just will not give this guy his flowers. What is wrong with you?
Oh, you must have thought I was a bitch.
I am him. Use not it. What's the topic? With your logic when I flow. Big Komodo, how it's talking.
Gotta get back to letting the baby cry a little bit to see if they can soothe themselves.
That's a bar.
Issues get pressed so past it, don't get sacked like bags and baggage. Smitty and Jason Brown killed it, yeah, it's a rap. We what the game's been missing, we switched it and filled the gap.
I identified him after his third fight, and I said that guy can be a star.
I'm so proud of the show, bro.
With the gap, Smitty and Jason Brown.
To the Coach JP show.
What up? We are in the building. It is Talk That Talk Tuesday. Talk and I will talk back. We got a loaded lineup. Steve Kim joins us, talk some boxing. I got to put hands on Smitty just like, if I have to, I'll do so. Steve joins us, talk all things Tank, all things future, what's on the slate in the boxing world. And then Shaun King joins us. The real Shaun King joins us to talk about some QB play. We're going to talk college QBs and NFL. So don't miss that one. Now, we're not in the studio today. We said it yesterday. You don't listen, Stephen J. That's why you're not a member. Become a member. Maybe you'll listen better. We told your fucking ass yesterday that we're not going to be in the studio because Smitty has a fucking event. So I'm not driving by myself to the studio. But anyway, since you're a fucking producer, Stephen J., and we got to fucking sit here and explain to your ass, since you put so much money into the show and you got so much fucking investment, then now we'll explain to you the whole morning show is going to talk to you about the fucking studio and why we're not there because your fucking ass don't listen. But anyway, we got a lot going on today. Let's dive into this major situation. It's Talk That Talk Tuesday. Pound that like, subscribe, become a member. We are about 40,000 subscribers. We need 50,000 by the time the NFL season because this will be the realest NFL show on planet Earth. You can mark my words as we'll be in the studio on the board, on the big board with NFL legends from Eric Weddle to Trent Richardson to Tank Johnson, Shaun King, you name it. Plus, we'll have some new guests this year. You already know. But let's dive into this thing. Pound that like and download our Discord app and get Slap Nation today. But before you do, though, you got to go on over to winnable.com/slap-picks and get Smitty and I's picks as well as access to the Slap Nation Discord. We saw some new cats come over to the Discord. Shout out to you. Subscribe to our First Down plan and ride with our weekly picks or monthly picks on winnable.com/slap-picks. Let's dive into this. Talk That Talk Tuesday. Brandon Aiyuk calls Jaden Daniels, his former college QB, and on the phone yesterday on TikTok and tells him, San Fran don't want me, bruh. Quote, end quote. See, this is why I have such a problem with these dudes who have the world at their fingertips. They got fame, money, resources, managers, publicists, etc. And then have this entitled attitude towards a team that drafted him and allowed him to either A, make generational money, or B, get traded and make generational wealth. But the bottom line is this: it's business. It's business. And to air dirty laundry out there is foul to me. It's immature to me. And other possible teams see this and now may put him in a category that ends up holding him back from bigger deals. This is not just about football either. It affects long-term branding deals, sponsorships, and business opportunities for life after football. But just hear me out. Then we have the Eagles idiot who goes around parading around, screwing porn stars, and then not wanting to pay them. We have hit rock bottom as society. Let me just tell you, it's a sad day to watch, and it is hard to grasp. Why? Why put this extra heat on you? You got money. You choose to fuck with hookers and porn stars. So be it. I don't care. But damn, homie, pay up. Or go get you a female that you don't got to pay. Make it make sense. What is this, a game? You're going to end up fucking with the wrong one. And career and life will be over. Just throwing it out there. Let's dive into this rundown. Celtics win their 18th title. First in 16 years, but they surpass my Lakers and hang their 18th banner. Jaylen Brown wins MVP over Tatum, and Kyrie no-shows all 3 games in Boston. Luka seemed to have died out in these finals, just throwing it out there. The Lakers are still without a coach, but the Clippers hired Jeff Van Gundy as Ty Lue's assistant. Make it make sense. We'll dive into that later. Brandon Aiyuk calls Jaden Daniels, as mentioned to start the show. But what do the 49ers do with him moving forward? The Jets continue to be misled organization without any true leadership. And now Hassan Reddick has reportedly lied to the Jets and went against his word and not shown up to camp. Is anyone shocked? Didn't Aaron Rodgers just do the same? Deion Sanders posted a video of being asked about Lil Wayne concert and players laughing it off. As I said yesterday on this show, I would have been hard-pressed to believe that Deion Sanders or any coach would have said this to anybody. But again, we are here addressing it because Colorado addressed it. But before we begin, my co-host, Naptown legend, Far East Side 317, LeBron hairline having, Lamar Jackson loving, AR5 defending, Caitlin Clark jockey, Fox Sports very own, Big
Yeah, we live, baby. What's going on?
Where my banner at? Why don't I have nothing behind you? I don't get it.
JB, we do this every morning, JB. We do this every morning, JB. I'm not in my studio room this early in the morning because of the former complaints that I used to get. My studio room is right below bedrooms. People are still sleeping at 6 in the morning, unlike us. So when I'm in there yelling and cussing you out and debating with people, sometimes that wakes people up at 6 in the morning and that leads to issues. Therefore, I have to do this in another room that does not interfere with the other people who I live with or the building that I live with. So I have a shitty background because I'm not in my actual studio space. But that's why we have a actual in-person studio in which we will be at tomorrow and Thursday. Jason Brown. What's going on, chat? I see Mitchell Connell in there. I see Bazooka, Grandmaster Wu, Captain Lucky, Mark Rideout, Eric Rivera, Baby Bison, I'm the Jerk, and much, much more. We live and we hype right now. I got my 2 Chainz, call me 2 Chainz, and I'm about to kick some ass today. What's going on, JB?
Address this cat.
Baby Bison, the fake laughing intro is so embarrassing. Baby Bison, you not having a picture on your damn avatar is so embarrassing. You not being a member is so embarrassing. Your name is so embarrassing. Baby Bison is so embarrassing. You sound like a 13-year-old kid. You probably are, which is why I'm gonna be nice on you on this first round. But you continue to talk throughout the entire show, there will be more repercussions and consequences that you do not want to see. Baby Bison. Baby Bison. Who the fuck is Baby Bison, JB? You've been in the game for a long time. You know, you listen to rap music. You've had friends in the hood. A lot of nicknames. Baby Bison.
You don't ban me like Matt. Who banned Matt?
Who banned Matt? Matt's not banned.
I get to be talking.
Y'all be talking. Ain't nobody banned Matt.
Social media is very embarrassing. I get secondhand embarrassment from a lot of people on social media. I'm just being last night, my first time last night in a while that I really was like, dog, I could see me deleting all this social media shit. I'm at the end of it, dog. Like,
yeah, go ahead and do it.
Man, I don't know.
Delete
Today
everything.
is
Instagram,
Juneteenth.
TikTok, YouTube channel, everything.
Hey, shout out to Juneteenth, all the brothers out there, all you homies out there, my homies out there. Juneteenth, they celebrated. They used to celebrate like 15, 16, 17 in the real hood. That's like Compton, real hood, not Indianapolis. Indianapolis don't really celebrate until like the 19th, probably.
Tomorrow's
like,
the actual day.
Because it's like a half. You're like a half black town.
Tomorrow's the actual day.
Real hood, though, celebrate that shit like, 15, 16,
Yeah,
17.
but tomorrow's the actual day, though. I mean, people celebrate Christmas multiple days.
Yeah.
People celebrate other holidays multiple days. People celebrate all type of shit, but tomorrow is Juneteenth. So make sure tomorrow you say Juneteenth. Woke black man, why you working Juneteenth? Racist. Tomorrow's Juneteenth, fellas. And I might not work tomorrow. I ain't decided yet. It's my decision because I'm a black man. I might not go to Fox. I might not come on this show. JB might expect me tomorrow in the studio. I might just might not show up because I'm a black man. It's my choice. It's the day that we were finally freed as black people. We were freed. July 4th, the country was freed, but Juneteenth is when my people was freed. It's gonna be a loaded show, man.
Well, how you feel though? You get 1 day, so you got the shortest month. You got Black History Month, February.
29, 28 days.
Leap year gets you 29.
Right.
So you get the shortest month, but then you got Juneteenth, which they made prominent over that. I mean, it's always been an enactment. And
yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know about Juneteenth until like 2019. I'm dead ass serious because we just didn't celebrate it. We didn't.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But it's the Emancipation Day. Apparently, that's what everyone wants to come out and say. All of a sudden, Juneteenth is like.
I mean, because of the meaning, it should be like it should be it should be a serious holiday. Honestly, if you really think about it.
Juneteenth used to be a big deal, like in Mississippi, Texas. Like, and I would recruit it.
Yeah.
In the summer, late summertime, like this, right before we get fall camp.
Yeah.
I'd recruit last minute kids. Juneteenth's a big thing in like South, certain areas. Not some areas it ain't. But
of course. It should be though. I mean,
how you feel that you got 1 day, Juneteenth. Let's just say, how you feel when Gay Pride Month though? They got 1,300 days.
I mean, I'm gonna speak on us because I'm not gay. I don't really understand that part, but I do know this.
What?
Juneteenth is just expected. Like having 1 day is expected for me as a black man. I don't really expect having like extra. Like I'm surprised we got the 1 day. Shit, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm just not. I mean, I don't feel nothing to answer your question. I feel like that's been the norm in my 30 years of life. Like you said, we've always had the shortest month when it comes to Black History Month. Juneteenth wasn't even a thing for my life, meaning that it was nothing that we acknowledged as a country. We weren't taught about Juneteenth in school, none of that. And so I'm just not really learning about it in my adult age, which is a shame, but it just is what it is. So like for me, I don't feel.
My question though, the question was, how you feel though that this alphabet mafia, they got every day. Every day is a day. Like they got fucking made up human day. They got fucking this day, that day, every day.
Well, you know what, JB? Every day is a blessing, JB. Every day is a blessing. And I think it's just good that we're able to be alive and just talk about the days and celebrate the days that we decided to celebrate them.
Smitty's a real good human, man. Smitty's a real nice guy. He avoided the question at all costs. I'm going to ask him like 13 times a day, by the way. But we're going to come back to it. Let's dive into quote of the day, brought to you by betonline.ag. Head on over there. What up, man? The real Coach JB here for the Coach JB Show with Big Smitty. We got a proud new sponsor, of course, for the second part of the year, and that's BetOnline. Continue to be your number one source for all basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. March Madness is here. Join us every Monday and Friday with Jeff Nadu as we will pick them and up to minute odds, stats, and trends. You can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop to your mobile device. Head on over to BetOnline today. Become part of the team and remember to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for 50% off plus welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. Peace. Hey, woke black man. Shut the fuck up, or I'm gonna block you now. Because now you're just doing stupid shit. Shut the fuck up, you fucking troll. All right, let's dive into the show, Smitty, and let's get to the quote of the day right out the gate. Because quote of the day is just the thing to set you free. I'm gonna set you free, all you motherfuckers in here. The truth shall set you free. Quote of the day, brought to you by Bet Online. Stop wondering if you are good enough. Know you are, and start acting like it. Quote of the day.
I like that. It's a mindset. Everything starts up here, JB. Everything.
Yeah, I already know I'm good enough, even though I got trials and tribulations, ups and downs. You know what I'm saying? Feel better today, though. Yesterday was rough, boy. Woo.
Me too. My cold finally getting away. My snot's coming out, and my voice is getting better. My probably go to the gym. I ain't worked out in 2 weeks, man. Like for real, worked out at the gym. I feel horrible. So now
I worked out because I had like 32 shots. I had 32 shots. That shit works all the abs out. You don't understand. You don't know nothing about it. Yeah, tequila it works. It cleans you up. It slims you down, leans you out.
Oh.
And then you drive home. Yep. And then that's what it's like. Great. You drive home at night because it keep you like it's locked a workout. It's a workout. Yeah, you gotta be locked in. You gotta be locked in. Drive. Fuck. I'm going 100 too.
So it's kind of hand-eye coordination, focus, discernment. It kind of cleans you out. It's almost like fasting, almost, right?
It is fasting.
Got you. Okay.
And then if you get fucked up and super loaded, you throw up. And then the next day you feel it. It's just like you did like a whole superset on sit-ups.
Damn, right? I never thought about that way. Right?
I mean, come on, dog. This ain't fucking rocket science.
That's free game by JB.
Free game. I slept a little bit. I slept a little bit, but
you sound better, JB. You sound better. You seem a little bit more healthier. Your skin's a little bit more full. Your face is more full.
I could tell. I was looking yesterday. I was like, damn, I'm rough.
You look like shit yesterday.
Yeah, standing on business. By the way, to address what I just trolled you all with, if I did drive and I was super loaded and I drove home, who fucking cares? Why do you care? I'm trying to figure it out. Why the fuck do you care?
Let me tell you why. If we gonna go there, let me tell you why.
We don't need to know why. That's why my question was. It was open ended. It wasn't an open ended question. It was a question, was a statement. Why the fuck do you care? Because you know why, Smitty? Because these motherfuckers are doing stupid ass shit all day long, and then guess what? They end up voting for fucking weirdo pedos. They end up fucking going to church and protecting and fucking honoring some crooked ass fucking Christian. But then they want to fucking critique me because they think I drove home loaded. Get the fuck out of here, you all high and mighty ass, old bitch ass motherfucker. Shut up, old troll. I'm going to troll the fuck out of everybody in here. By the way, I've never had a DUI. I've never been close to a DUI. No accidents. What else you want me to say? Don't worry about what I do, motherfuckers. Shit. You motherfuckers are worried about your goddamn self. How about you put a profile picture on your motherfucking face first? How about that? And then become a member and we'll take you a little more seriously. Just like I'll troll your fucking asses. I might get Smitty, I'm telling you right now, I'm on one. I might go get loaded right now and I might video the whole drive.
Do it right now. I bet you won't.
I might go get loaded right now and just drive to Vegas and film the whole thing.
I bet you're going to take 5 shots right now.
Crazy as hell.
Right now on the show.
That's too early right now. I'm not an alcoholic. I drank.
He said, I drink on Friday.
Yeah, like that's what I do.
I drink.
Contrary to belief, brought to you by Prize Picks. Head on over there. Smitty, a friend is someone who knows all of you and still loves you. Contrary to belief. That's why I said that. That's why I talked about just me driving right now fucked up. Because I don't give a fuck. A friend, though, knows all of me and still loves me.
All the highs, all the lows.
You know what? You know how many of those I have?
How many you got?
Oh, no. Maybe none.
You ain't got no friends.
Maybe not. That's why my circle like this.
Panama Queen, you agree?
Oh, yeah. Panama Queen knows the deal. That's the real talk. Small circles, bro. Shit. You know, and the bigger the circle you have, the more knife wounds in your back you have.
You just gave us another quote that you didn't even prepare for. That happened natural. You said the bigger your circle you have, the more knife wounds in the back you have.
That's a bar. Yeah.
That was almost better. That was better than the shit you said before that. They got to that.
The one I prepped for a whole day.
The one you like took time.
That's why you don't use note cards, homie. That's why you don't read on note card. That's why you ad lib when you coach. You fucking spit the real. The players sitting there looking at you reading fucking cards, homie. You see Mike Tomlin the other day address his team?
I didn't.
No cards.
I know you had no card. That brother can talk, boy.
Poll question. Poll question. Let's start the show off right. Poll question. I threw up the other night for driving home. I had to stop, pull over, threw up all over the freeway, stayed there for like 30 minutes. Cops came by, asked me how I was. I'm like, I'm cool. And then White, because they didn't even trip. Hey, coach, what's up? Hey.
You had a gun in your passenger seat just showing too. They didn't even care.
And a knife. Poll question. Who should trade for Brandon Aiyuk? Drop it in the chat below. Let's talk about this thumbnail. Let's talk about my intro to the show. He goes on a video, Smitty, and basically says this. Take a listen. I don't know if you saw the video with Brandon Aiyuk, but take a look.
Wow. They said they don't want me back.
Oh my.
You know, Aiyuk's been doing little things all offseason. I remember months ago he did something where he like posted in his IG story. It was like a whole bunch of emojis or something that basically, if you read between the lines, it was basically like shut up and pay me. Basically, it was what it said. If my memory serves me correctly. So he's been doing these little immature kind of games all offseason. It's funny for us, but from an actual a business standpoint, if I'm in the 49ers organization, I'm like, all right, bro, like this is getting old. And I kind of think the Niners are preparing to move on from him. I mean, they drafted I can't remember his name right now, but they drafted a receiver early in this year's draft. So, you know, I feel like they're kind of making their mind up that they're going to pay Debo, keep him as like their main guy, kind of take this young rookie receiver that they drafted and get him kind of built up and moving along. Ricky Pearsall from Florida. Thank you, Bailey. They still got George Kittle. They just paid CMC. They got to pay Brock Purdy next year. They understand that they can't pay two big-time receivers. So, like, I think the writing's on the wall. Either it's going to be this, like, before the season starts, which is what I believe, or worst-case scenario, this would be Aiyuk's final season in a 49er jersey. So, you ask, where will he be playing next year, man? So many good options right there. Obviously, he's talking to Jaden Daniels, his former college quarterback. I don't know if he wants to go to Washington, though. You know, I don't know. I mean, I understand they have a connection and things like that, but Jay's gonna be a rookie, and you know, we all know as rookies you got to go through the, you know, kind of the battles, the hurdles, the ups and downs. So I don't know if him going to Washington will truly make him happy. But then again, it sounds like right now Aiyuk only cares about getting that money. Maybe he doesn't care about his stats and everything else. So that's a hell of a question, JB. I'd love to hear where your mind is at on this.
Latrell be defending all the players. I can tell right now, Latrell, I know how Latrell is, so he's a high character guy, but I bet you he'd be coaching and he'd be listening to his players like a motherfucker. Latrell, Coach Flowers, no, I ain't running that slant. Or, okay, son, you can run an out route. The quarterback will just throw a pick. It's okay. Latrell's a player Latrell wants to be player-driven like a motherfucker. First of all, Brandon Aiyuk's done nothing. Latrell.
Well, I ain't gonna say all that.
Show me that he's a fucking top tier, big time wide receiver. Number one. Number two, it's a business. This is a business.
That's
Number
the
three,
main thing.
they have Debo Samuel. They got Debo and they got Aiyuk, by the way.
Yep.
But what does JB know? Because on this show months ago, I am the one that said, you know what? Both of those dudes are a product of their systems. I said both of those dudes are either one of them are true number one receivers. I told you both of them are utility type of guys that are movable guys in a system that allows them to have freedom and range in what they do. Debo's the guy that can go from the backfield to the slot to catch a reverse, to throw a double pass. Aiyuk is a guy that's on the outside and moves in the slot. He's not some guy we throw back shoulder fades to. He's not the big body, long guy I throw it to the back cone on. The 49ers don't have that guy. His name is Jennings, and he's a mid at best type of long receiver. They have Kittle, they have CMC, and they move Aiyuk and Debo around in a system that is conducive to Brock Purdy and what the Niners do with Mike Shanahan. Either one of those receivers are true number ones. I'll argue anybody in this goddamn chat all day long. All you 49er fans, all you player empowerment fucks, they're not the guys you think they are. They're not. They are really good complementary pieces to a great O-line running game and a tight end named Kittle. They're not the go-to guy. If they were, Smitty, I wouldn't have to devise a system to get Debo the ball in so many different ways. I wouldn't have to devise a system to isolate Brandon Aiyuk on the slot on a safety because I know he's not going to be the number one corner all day long. So take it from your boy on this. These two guys are obviously very interchangeable and very tradable.
But don't you think that system also is because of the quarterback play, though? Or lack thereof?
That's my point.
So it's not all on Aiyuk and Debo. It's also because the quarterback's abilities that they've had, whether it's Jimmy G or Brock or...
That's my point.
Okay, cool.
That's why they have the system that moves these two guys around. They don't have... Smitty, if they were that good and the quarterback was that guy, they'd be lining up at receiver, homie, and just throwing me the ball one-on-one in every possible situation.
I guess what I'm saying is we don't know about Aiyuk because I talk to guys too, man, and they're like, man, from a route running ability, from a toughness ability, Aiyuk has it more. A lot of people say Aiyuk has it more than Debo. Debo, most people agree, he's more of an actual.
Let me dive into that. Let me dive into this topic, though.
Yeah, let's do it.
Aiyuk could be a great route runner, but he's not a Cooper Kupp. He's not a long body receiver. He's not a Nakua. He's not an outside guy that I can isolate on a number one corner and eat. Go show me film that Aiyuk is cooking number one corners out here in the NFL.
But could he be a CeeDee Lamb?
Hold on, though. Let's talk about a schematical thing here.
Yep.
If you go watch their film, which I have a shitload of 49er film, and we can pull it up any day. If I have Brandon Aiyuk on this film and Debo, go watch the film. Go see what they do. And Latrell, if you're going to bring up blocking, if you're really going to bring up blocking by a number one receiver, homie, then you know you've lost this argument already. Stop it. Stop it, dog. Then go get a number two tight end, Latrell. What the fuck are we talking about, homie? You're really going to pay this guy because he's a blocker? What? Homie, if you're going to go to blocking, you know you've lost it. Dog, this argument's unwinnable. I'm on fire today. It is what it is. I'm not losing this argument. It is what it is. Brandon Aiyuk, go show me where he's cooking a corner out on the edge on the perimeter one-on-one. And I'll wait for you because he doesn't. They manipulate the system by moving Debo, Kittle. If you watch how many wide trades they run, give me a fucking board, man. I don't have my board here. They run wide trades, Smitty. So guess what it does? It dictates the safety rotation. Guess what that does? Then they'll motion, if you haven't noticed, CMC out the backfield. So guess what that does? Now it puts a safety or a corner on CMC because he's such a great receiver as a back. Then guess what they do? Then they'll fuck around and run reverse to Deebo Samuel, and he'll throw the ball to Aiyuk. They run all this shit.
What you're saying is correct, but it's almost like Aiyuk's getting punished because of Shanahan's creative offensive system. And it's like, damn, like to me, that would make me want to leave even more so I can prove myself that, hey, I am more than just a system. I am more than what you guys are thinking.
That's the thing. It's not a punishment. It is an indictment to tell you that, listen, we're okay with losing you. You're a replaceable commodity on this.
I hear you.
In this system, Smitty. In this system, I can use anybody at these spots. Why do you think that Deebo Samuels is also up in trade rumors? By the way, that hasn't gone away. He's still in trade rumorville. Deebo's still in trade rumors.
I thought those kind of went away. I know last year was more up in the air, like more in the serious conversation. I didn't know it was still heavily in the air right now. Listen, man, I get it. With Shanahan's system, it's a it's a plug and play type system. But at the same time, though, I don't believe everybody can do what Deebo Samuel does. I think that's a little stretch. I don't think everybody can just go out there and do what Brandon Aiyuk does. You look at Aiyuk's numbers, man. I know you don't care about numbers, but they're still important. They still play a role. Since he's been in the league in 2020, every single year he's gotten better. Literally every single year. He goes from 748 yards to 826 to over 1,000. He had 1,015 yards in 2022. And then last year had over 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like every single year, the man has been improving and improving from his production, from his importance on his team, from his numbers. Like he has earned a contract extension. It's not like he's out here just asking for I don't know what he's asking for.
You can't pay him.
He doesn't deserve top of the market.
How many guys you gonna pay, Smitty?
Strong extension.
How many guys you think they can pay on a roster? You do know that Brock Purdy's going to get paid next year, right?
Okay, for sure.
Well, how many? This is my whole point, dog. You guys don't listen. Not you, but everybody out here is not really paying attention. They are already having to pay a bunch of different people and pieces. They just paid CMC. They got to repay Deebo. They got to pay Kittle. Now they got to re-sign Purdy. And they just signed their left tackle. So guess what? How are they going to sign these mid-major tweener receivers? They don't need to, Smitty. They can go get a T. Higgins in a year. Let's just say he stays with the Bengals this year, and then after this year, we know T. Higgins is gone because he's going to play for the Bengals this year, in my opinion. And
didn't T. Higgins sign?
T. Higgins will be gone, huh? No, T. Higgins not, but T. Higgins yesterday.
No, T. Higgins he re-signed 1-year deal with the Bengals yesterday.
1-year deal. That's what I'm saying. He's already said, I'm content. I'm going to stay 1 more year. And then, he's gone after that because the negotiations ceased in Cincinnati. So he said, fuck it. I want to go with Burrow and Chase one more time. I'll get out and then I'll leave and enter the market. They can go get guys like that, dog. Aiyuk is an expendable commodity. He is very expendable.
They're going to have to pay T. Higgins too, though. So that defeats the purpose.
Well, I'm just throwing out names like there's receivers out there.
I think that's why they drafted Ricky Pearsall, honestly, because he's a guy who's talented, who, like you just said, in their system, you don't need a superstar receiver necessarily. It's a guy who can do the basics, who can learn the system, and he's in a rookie deal, so you're saving a ton of money.
But Smitty, be honest. If you keep Aiyuk, you have to sign him to a max.
Right.
You got to let him go and you bring in a new body. You know damn well you don't sign that new body to a max. It's not like you're getting Devontae Adams or something. Aiyuk, if he stays, is demanding the max, and the Niners know that's what they'd have to pay him. They're saying, listen, we can't pay you this max. You're going to go elsewhere. We'll bring another guy in as a new first-year guy for the Niners, whether it's T. Higgins, whatever. They're not going to pay him as much as they'd have to pay Aiyuk. That's my point. They're going to get away with bringing another guy in and paying that guy much less. So I'm just saying.
I don't know, man, because he receivers, man, the market. Like, for example, Nico Collins just got 3 years, 72 mil or something like that after having one good season. Let's keep call what it is. One good season, 3 years, 72 mil. So if I'm Brandon Aiyuk, I'm like, bro, I didn't play 2 Super Bowls, contributed to our success. I didn't got better every single year. I've really had a really pretty good overall career, but the last 2 seasons I've had have been incredible. You giving Nico Collins 3 years, saying $2 million, I'm damn sure about to get something. And if it ain't from the 49ers, cool. It's gonna be somewhere else. T. Higgins gonna think the same thing. T. Higgins has, played the Super Bowl, has had consistent success year in and year out. They're seeing these other receivers. I'm on Rod St. Brown, who's a good, a good receiver, or whatever as well. But they're seeing these guys who are kind of, I would say, middle of the pack, like not middle of the pack, but like middle tier, not superstar receivers like Justin Jefferson, but like really good receivers. They're getting paid. They're getting extensions. So if I'm T. Higgins, I'm like, bro,
this all goes back.
I'd be stupid to stay here and not get my money.
But look, dog, this all goes back to the player empowerment shit that I discuss every day. Like, we got to understand, not everybody is ones. They're not ones, dog. T. Higgins, you're not a 1. Brandon Aiyuk, you're not a 1. I'm sorry to break it down to you. There's not that many fucking 1s, homie, floating around. But guess what, Smitty? Fair point. The market has created everybody to think they're 1s. Let's just be honest, Smitty. If you and I are playing receiver in the NFL right now, we're expecting a huge bag because everybody's getting one right now. but not everybody are true number one receivers. Let's just be honest. We all think we're one receivers, dog. And now that the market's set so high, the bar's been set so high, everybody feels they're going to get paid. They're not number ones. And I told you on this show for the last 4 years, this will bite you in the ass eventually. And just look in the last 2 years, the salary cap has increased instrumentally over the last just 2 years in the NFL because they're trying to keep up with having to not lose major pieces on these big-time franchises that make the NFL billions of dollars, such as the Cowboys, the Niners, the Eagles, the Chiefs. Guess why their rosters seem to be a little more heavy-driven than the rest of the teams that are in softer media markets? Because that's what makes the NFL money. And this is why the salary caps get driven up. And I'm just telling y'all, you don't listen. You think that you know more than me. There isn't that many true one receivers. Aiyuk is not a one, but he thinks he is because the salary cap has increased and the market's been driven up. He's not a one. T. Higgins is not a one. And Smitty, if you're scratching your neck thinking these guys are
that was a real scratch. That was a real scratch.
But I'm saying though, just I'm glad you did it though. Everybody's out there thinking they're scratching their neck, thinking they're number ones and why they're not getting paid. This is my point. Dog, then how many ones you think there really are out there? How many true one receivers you really think there are out there? And then guess what's going to happen? CMC just now drove the market back up a little bit for the running back position. Yep. Guess what? He's a utility back, at the epitome of a utility back. He can play everything. He's Marshall Faulk in a white body in this era.
Right.
So he can do more than most backs. 99% of other backs he can do more than. So guess what? He got a bigger bag. Now you're going to get these mid-ass running backs thinking they deserve CMC money. But I've been telling y'all for 3 years, when you set the bar like this, you're going to get a high expectation from a lot of mid players. And I'm not going to call any NFL player mid. They're in the NFL. But I'm just saying, as far as the pecking order of things in the league, there are going to be guys that aren't established as a CMC or as a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or Devontae Adams, but they'll think they are and deserve that same dollar.
Last thing real quick, I know we got to move on to our next topic. But I'm not even sure how much Aiyuk or T. Higgins some of these cats are trying to get. But if you look at like the highest paid receivers in the league right now is Justin Jefferson at 35 mil, AJ Brown at 32, Amon-Ra at a little over 30, Tyreek Hill right at 30. Like these are some of the top guys. Devontae Adams at 28, Jalen Waddle 28.25. I don't even think that Aiyuk or Higgins, these guys are necessarily trying to get to that point. There are number twos on here who are still getting paid a lot of money. For example, Devontae Smith is the clear number two on this team. I just mentioned that A.J. Brown, his counterpart, is getting paid $32 million. He's the one on the Eagles. But Devontae Smith is the eighth highest paid guy in the league, receiver in the league, getting paid $25 million. Aiyuk's going into his final year of his rookie deal, whatever. He's making $14 million. So all I'm saying is this. You got Debo getting paid. Where's Debo? He's getting paid like 23, I think, a year. If you could put Aiyuk around the 20 number, 21, 22, if you could just meet him around that number, I think you could at least have a conversation. I don't think these guys are trying to reset the market and become the number one highest receiver in the NFL.
Listen.
But I understand the Niners can't do it. I'm just saying, all I'm saying is, say this. I understand from Aiyuk's perspective on why he would want to either A, force the Niners' hand to pay him, and then B, if they can't, go ahead and trade me because at the end of the day, I got to get paid. Like, yeah, we love the game. We want to win, but this is a business on both sides. We always call it a business when the teams are making certain decisions, right? But when the players make a decision for them better themselves to help their pockets out, we call it something else. It has to be a business on both sides.
Smitty, see, that's why you're the yin to my yang. Here's the thing. People don't want to realize. Aiyuk's going on 27 years old. Nico Collins has just turned 25, number one. Number two, Aiyuk is a JUCO player with extra added miles on his frame. Then he goes to Arizona State. Then he goes to the league. There are guys out there that they'll say have less traveled miles for less money and can play in this system, Smitty. This system. Let's not talk about There's a reason why they're letting him go. You can suck your teeth all you want. The fact is, homie, they're going to let him go.
I want the mileage. He's in his rookie deal. This man ain't that old. He went to JUCO, okay? You know many guys went to JUCO and then who's in the league right now who's getting paid? Tyreek went to JUCO. Your guy, Jermaine Johnson, went to JUCO. Tank Dell, if he has a good year in sales, he's going to get paid. He went to JUCO.
My point is they're not this old. He's going to be 27. Nico just turned 25. There's a 2-year difference. It does matter. Like, this guy has a 2-year gap on Nico. You guys are – the only reason I'm bringing this up, Smitty, because they in the chat and everybody's talking about the comparison of Nico, which you said got paid, and Aiyuk. There's a 2-year difference in age.
There's also 2 years of better seasons and 2 years of experience in Super Bowls, and Aiyuk has been healthy. And like I hear you, age is I guess a factor, but Aiyuk hasn't shown that he's injury prone. He hasn't shown, and he goes out there every season and balls, man. System or not, at the end of the day, I can't control what system I'm in. Only thing I can do is play to my best ability within that system, and he has done that year in and year out. I understand that Niners can afford him, but if I'm Aiyuk, somebody can't afford me.
I'm gonna dive in, but let me dive in. Let me explain this to Latrell and everybody out there. You can't not sit up here and compare Nico Collins to Brandon Aiyuk and talk about somebody's better than the other one. First of all, Brandon Aiyuk doesn't fit a Houston Texans system with C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud's a big arm, long arm, comeback throwing, post bang eight, dig route guy compared to Brock Purdy, who is check down master and an occasional dig route over the middle with movable parts and a system that's very, very interchangeable. Brandon Aiyuk doesn't fit the Texans, just like Nico doesn't fit the Niners. So we cannot compare these guys to each other. They're completely different, holy shit different receivers in completely different systems. One's a drop back system. One is an RPO play action and boot naked system. There are completely different systems. Don't compare the two because they would be totally different in each other's system. So this is why it's almost laughable to compare these receivers nowadays. There is a reason they drafted the white kid Purcell and willing to give this dude up, Smitty. They did not give up Nico Collins, and they also, remember, just signed Diggs for a 1-year deal with Tank Dell returning and his healthy Mitchie. So they must believe in that guy. So that's my point. It's a completely different system. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is not, you can't compare these two receivers. They're completely different. Smitty, what's next?
Man, well, last night some big news happened. The Boston Celtics won the NBA Finals. First time in, I think, 16 years since 08. And they won in pretty impressive fashion. It was not even close, really, from the start all the way to the finish, man. See all these funny videos here. Luka passing the trophy over to the Boston Celtics. I mean, huge win for them. I want to ask you, though, I guess, before I give my take, because part of this will be in my Smitty Says So, just a little teaser, but I still can go in a little bit now. But what was your take on just the overall, I guess, series and just this Boston Celtics season? Because, I mean, listen, you take a step back, we can say we want about how shitty the playoffs was or how shitty the league is and how shitty sports are. I get all that. But at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. You can only play in the era that you were lived in. And this Celtics team, man, just had a hell of a run. I think they lost, 3 games the entire playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. They were the only team that got over 60-plus wins in the regular season. They've been the clear-cut best team all year long, and still nobody outside of Boston believed in them. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that they kind of proved a lot of doubters wrong. But, JB, I guess, what's your view on the Celtics getting banner number 18 and passing our Lakers?
I'm going to try to keep my Laker homer glasses off because I haven't been a real Laker fan lately since LeBron James came here. I hated the move. I'm not a LeBron guy, but I'm a Laker guy, true and true. I got a little rant later on about this Laker situation. I compared this to the bubble, ironically enough. The bubble gave everybody out there a vibe. A lot of you out there questioned the bubble championship for the Lakers. A lot of people out there, this has been an argument and a debate on this show for a couple of years. The COVID title didn't matter, and it wasn't a real title and all that shit. And then I think it was even harder. I mean, I've heard in Saul's stories, I've seen videos, I've been around Danny Green where he showed me personal things that I almost think it was harder to win in the bubble. This gives me a bubble vibe. For some reason, and no disrespect to the bubble championship run or any of that, it seems like this was such a watered down playoffs. I saw a stat earlier this morning. The Celtics have the biggest margin of victory in the history of the NBA playoffs. They beat more teams by more points than any other team in NBA history. They had more 25-point victories in this playoff run than anyone in the history of NBA playoffs. Is that an indictment on the league, or is it a praise on this Celtics team? Listen, you said it, you called it. The Celtics, kudos to Smitty calling this championship a while back. Jeff Nadu also said the Celtics were going to win it a while back. Listen, it was a hard playoffs to watch. It's like a catch-22 to me, man. I just saw that it was just a product that was so hard to watch that I couldn't find myself very interested. Another closeout game, Smitty. How many closeout games have we been discussing on this show over the since it was Minnesota, the Thunder, Denver, getting beat by 50 at home? Like, these are things that I'm sitting there like, dog, where is the closeout game competitiveness? Why did you fly to Boston to play that game last night? Like, it's almost like they flew to Boston to say just that we didn't get swept. Like, you wasted that shit. I would have got swept and stayed at home. Shit, that's your mindset. That was the mindset I saw in the playoffs all year long. I'm just saying, it gives me that same vibe, though. Like, it was a very, very poor display of professional basketball throughout this entire playoff run. To me, to my eyes. Maybe everybody else thinks different. Of course, you have your opinion. You have the right to have an opinion. It is what it is. That's my opinion. I thought it was the hardest NBA playoff series ever to watch. And there's so many pieces to this whole finals. But again, 4-1, a finals series that just, come on, man. I don't remember these playoff games being this one-sided in my life. I'm just telling you. I've seen blowouts, Smitty. I've seen the Lakers get beat by the Celtics just 16 years ago. I've seen the Lakers also up 30 and lose to the Celtics.
Oh, man.
So I've seen all these things. Blowouts happen, but not to this cliff. I haven't never seen closeout games where cats just don't show up over and over and over. It just, to me, seems like, and again, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. It goes back to my whole player empowerment movement and my belief, but Kyrie Irving don't show up one time in Boston. Not once. Not one time did Kyrie Irving say, you know what, dog? This was my old home. I need to go show these guys what they're missing. I found that to be like, damn, dog. I expected at least one game for him to go show up.
Too.
He don't show up not one time. And then Luka shows up and ends up like, for some reason, this finals, he lost all his gas. I have no idea what it was. He lost all his gas, and he ended up showing everybody that the elites, the greats, play both sides of the ball. The greats play both sides. If you're going to be considered a great, you play both sides. Jaylen Brown wins the MVP. That's another story we could dive into, but basically locked Luka down and took on and said, and there's sound bites of him saying, give me that motherfucker, and I'm not going to let him get the ball. Remember that video I did about him getting the ball and having to work for the ball? I did a video. We do a commercial on this show every day. I broke it down about Luka getting the ball and having to work for it rather than just running up and hitting a three. Oh, JB don't know basketball. Seems like it fucking mattered.
I remember that verbatim.
It seemed like it sure mattered. It seemed like it mattered in this series.
But to me, Luka offensively was pretty consistent. Now, he was bad from the three-point line all series long, and shout out to them for guarding them tight. But at the end of the day, Luka was getting his numbers. To me, the inconsistent person in this whole thing was Kyrie, his number two, his running mate. Like you just alluded to, every game in Boston, Kyrie played bad, and I'm a big Kyrie fan. So this is real for me because I was hoping I'd come on this show and praise him. I remember he told him the last game they were in Boston, he looked at the crowd and said, I'll see y'all game 5. I just thought he was going to come out here game 5, being electric. And again, he just was missing everything. And then he wasn't aggressive. He was sitting in the corner a lot of times, just kind of letting the offense kind of do what it does, letting Luka be ball dominant, but also not even just Luka, like letting the role players be more aggressive. I thought the role players played well for the Mavs last night, in my opinion. Is it Josh Green or Green, whatever, came off the bench, was knocking down threes. I thought they were hustling hard. I don't think it was a lack of effort yesterday. I just think they just seemed gassed and they were missing shots. They were missing a lot of open shots. Kyrie missed so many shots. Some of the role players was missing shots. Luka got kind of cold in the second half. But also I have to give credit to the Boston Celtics and that defense. It's not like these guys are just missing because they're missing, or these guys are not just gassed because they're gassed. It's because you got to pay homage to the team that's actually guarding these guys and playing defense as well.
And this is why, and I know we'll take a commercial break, but this is why I'm so big on this show against the anointing of certain people so fast while their resumes are still being written. That's like my number one pet peeve on this show, is it not? One of them, we anoint these guys. Stephen A comes out and says, this is the greatest ever. I'm like, calm down, homie. Pump your brakes. Just 2 weeks ago, Smitty, I heard every major expert on major platforms, every single big media outlet say that Kyrie and Luka were the best backcourt of all time. And I'm sitting there
they're most skilled, I think.
I'm sitting there like, homie, pump your fucking brakes. And guess what? They no-show in the NBA Finals. They absolutely fucking no-show, and you're the best ever. How about you hold your tongue once in a while and start to let the development of your resume be put on wax? And in 5, 10, 12 years, you say it when they have 2 or 3 titles and went through Boston and go through these teams and are unstoppable. Because Kyrie and Luka were not unstoppable. And you got a couple guys who we can argue, Drew Holiday, great little player. We can argue he's the leader. Him and Horford led that team to will them to victory. But come on, homie. Drew Holiday stops me, and I'm going to say that they're still the best ever. Drew's great defender.
I was like, where are you going with this now?
Come on, Smitty.
The whole NBA will tell you that he's the best defender in the league, on ball defender.
But you're not putting Drew Holiday in an all-time cliff with all-time greats when it comes down to it already. You're not going to tell me Drew Holiday is supposed
this
to
era.
stop.
Drew Holiday is the best on-ball defender in this era. I don't know how he would have did in the 70s or 80s. All I know is right now he's the best on-ball defender. And it's not just him. You got him. You got Derek White, one of the best defenders. You got Jalen Brown. The problem is the Celtics their whole team is locked up. They lock you up.
Tatum, Brown, that's not my point. That's not my point, though. I get what you're saying. My point is you're not going to tell me that Drew Holiday is supposed to stop the greatest backcourt in the history of basketball, according to every fucking major media outlet just 2 weeks ago. It just doesn't make sense. Make it make sense, homie. Get the fuck. You got to be kidding me. So right here, Luka and Kyrie, the greatest backcourt ever, and then Drew Holiday and Jalen Brown lock them down.
Well, to me, I thought they were saying the most skilled backcourt ever, but maybe I read stuff wrong, so I don't want to counter what you saw. But I thought they were saying from a skill set standpoint. From a skill set standpoint, they were saying that, which I thought they had an argument from a skill set standpoint. They haven't won anything, so you can't call them the best. But hey, it's perfect segue though, man, because I got something on my mind about this series. So it's time for Smitty Says So, brought to you by Bet Online and Prize Picks and Rebet. Man, listen, I think it's about time we put some respect on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's names. First of all, shout out to them for leading the Celtics to their first NBA title in 16 years when KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen defeated me and JB's Lakers. Winning a championship is extremely hard to do, regardless of the era. And to do it in such a dominating fashion is incredible. All year long, various media figures and fans online have shown this distrust for the Celtics, calling them words like soft, choke artists, etc. And over these last few years, these same people were calling for Tatum and Brown to split, thinking that this star-studded duo wouldn't work. And that's part of the reason why many people actually picked Dallas to win this series. Because of those same beliefs. The success that these two young brothers have had this early in their careers shouldn't be overlooked. Playing in multiple Eastern Conference Finals, making it to 2 NBA Finals, and ultimately winning a championship. Not to mention the individual accolades that the pair has picked up along the way. Tatum's all-NBA teams, or playoff points record that he surpassed our Kobe being Bryant's all-time playoff scoring record for players 26 years old or younger. Or how about Jaylen Brown taking home both the Eastern Conference Finals MVPs and the NBA Finals MVP trophy this year? Talk about proving people wrong. And with Brown signing his Supermax $295 million extension last season and Tatum being eligible to sign for over $318 million this offseason, there's no reason why these two won't win a couple more championships before it's all said and done. And listen, I'm a Lakers fan, so for me to say that, you know it had to be real. And if you don't agree with me, if you don't believe me, if you don't like what I just said, then guess what? I really don't care because Smitty said so. We're going to be right here with you again in about 4 to 5 minutes. We got a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we got some more fire for you along the way. So stay tuned.
Luka has more points than the entire fucking T-Wolves team in the first quarter, and he starts off like he starts off, and we don't do anything. We don't throw a double at him. We don't close out. We don't put a face in. We don't meet him. If he's shooting from half court, homie, meet him at half court. Why are we sagging in the fuck? This guy's 4 fucking threes in the first 3 minutes, and we aren't even addressing him at the top of the line. He hits a fifth one.
JB, there's nothing you can do to stop him at that point, JB.
Yes,
you brought him up. You brought him up close. He blows past you. You step.
He don't blow past
space.
nobody.
Man, he's
don't blow past nobody. Come on, you act like this motherfucker's Jordan. Come on, homie.
You act like Luka don't get past people and don't get to the rim.
First of all, how about this, Vinny?
You don't have to be fast to do that, JB. You play basketball. Don't tell me. Come on, you know more than that, JB. Your first step, your size, your body. Stop.
You young cats that played in this and watched this current era, that when there's absolutely zero defense being played, you all think offensively that there's nothing you can do. Back in the day, you can. Yeah, you can. You know why? Because you didn't see only YouTube videos. You didn't watch great defensive teams that had pride in stopping people. Guess what it's called?
Rules were different, JB. They can handshake. You can't do that shit now. You can't do that shit.
Don't worry about it. I got you. This rule hasn't changed, and it's called denial of the basketball by great effort on defense. I am going to deny the basketball from Luka Doncic when he's hit 3 threes in the first 2 minutes and 4 threes in the first 4 minutes. I'm going to deny him the ball. That is what Kobe would have did, Rodman would have did, Pippen would have did, Rip Hamilton would have did, Rasheed Wallace would have did, fucking you name it. Ron Artest would have did.
So that was the answer last night. So if they denied Luka last night, the game changes.
Fuck, don't you think it does?
You don't think so? You
don't think it would have changed?
They got fucking prime time out there. You think they locking him up to the point where he just can't get the ball?
No, but I'm saying, how about we try to deny him the basketball? Did you see any effort at all on defending Luka with a denial mindset? How about we deny one of these two motherfuckers? But guess what we did? We worried about Lively and fucking the other Gafford. Instead, Kyrie goes for 36. Luka goes for fucking, what did he go for?
36. They both had 36. 36 and 36. It just, listen, you got two superstar players, man. That's what's gonna happen. They both had bad games last game. I knew that was gonna go off.
I don't understand Freddie Mac and you guys that say he's still gonna get the ball.
He is.
Okay, still getting the ball when the ball's inbounded to me like this, and I have to now work on trying to get and create a shot.
And get off me, step back. That's Luka's specialty.
Okay, versus getting the ball with no friction, and I just do boom. That's a fucking huge difference, homie. If I get the ball and I have nothing but 3-point line and rim, it's a lot different than I have a guy denying me, and I got to get the ball, and now I got to work the post. I got to generate a shot. Guess what it does? It creates more energy for me. I have to expend more energy. How much easier is this catching the ball, nothing in front of me, Snoop, and then, hey, Snoop Dogg, what's up, Snoop? Talk shit. And I get to run back down court. Nah, motherfucker. Deny me the ball.
Contrary to your belief, Luka actually likes when he has friction. And I know that sounds so
okay, but he's not hitting 4 threes.
I know that sounds stupid. Luka he scores better when he has a body to be able to use his body to kind of
you're literally proving my point, You're literally
I'm saying he plays better that way. I'm telling you.
But you're telling me that he's going to have 4 threes in the first 3 minutes with a guy denying him in his face, rather than no friction at all. It's coming down straight rim. and no effort expended, no energy expended. You're
Luka's
telling me that don't matter.
baby.
You're telling me there's no difference. There's no difference. Come on, man.
I'm just saying Luka's different, JB. You can blame defense. You can blame coaching. You can say coaches are soft. You can say players are soft. Players don't show effort. It's hard to watch. Say what you want. Some players are just different, and Luka Doncic is that guy.
Make great players earn it. That's all I'm telling you. Make great players earn it. They didn't make great player earn it last night. This motherfucker was on rhythm, hitting shots in rhythm. You let him hit 4 in a row without any friction or any change up on defense. It seemed like the T-Wolves had a different game plan every game versus what they did in Denver. They had a different plan, which hurt their defense, and it got worse and worse and worse from the first 2 games in Denver. The first 2 games in Denver was one of the best defensive efforts I've ever seen in the NBA playoff run. That's crazy. Hey, shout out to Brian Case. Brian Case wanted a ghetto word of the day, and I always keep him on the top of my head. If I got a ghetto word, he requested a ghetto word. So if I'm gonna do a ghetto word, I do a ghetto word for you.
Let's do it.
We bring back a ghetto word of the day. Hotel, Smitty.
Hotel.
Ghetto word of the day.
Just hotel.
In honor of Brian Case dropping a 50 burger. Hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, hotel. That's the word I'm using. That's the ghetto word of the day. Smitty, my mama said she ain't gonna tell Shaquita nothing else because that hotel everything she hear.
That was a good one. I give you that one. I'm like, where you going with this hotel?
Holiday Inn, hotel.
Meet you at the Holiday Inn. Who you with? Me and my people. You bring food with your friends.
That hotel everything. That's BPS like a motherfucker. They took a hotel to really hotel.
That's how we do it. Our minds are so creative.
I listened to a little rant on that Celtics thing. I disagree with every single word you said.
Surprise. Shocker.
I disagree with every single thing you said, but basically,
Isaiah, I know about the song. I sung my own song, motherfucker. It was Chingy, the song I sung.
It was a good take and all, but I think Tatum's overrated. I think Jaylen Brown's inconsistent, but 2 of them together create one superstar.
There it is. Okay.
I mean, that's real. That's a real shit you're gonna hear all day. Both of those together create one superstar.
And they got a championship ring. That's all.
They got a ring in a horrible era. Yep. All right, let's go.
Stop adding other stuff. At the end of the day,
hold on, bro. We got a little bit. I got something to say now. Then.
No, I want to hear your shit.
I got Smith, Bailey. I'm making it make sense. I'm gonna do a make it make sense with Smitty. Bring in my theme music.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Let me kill this whole thing. Make it make sense. Brought to you by winnable.com/slap-picks. Head on over to winnable.com today and join the first down package. All right. Jeff Van Gundy, Smitty, has signed a contract as of a few hours ago with Ty Lue to be Ty Lue's assistant. Yes, the Clippers, that Ty Lue. Make it fucking make sense. But the Lakers have yet to hire a goddamn coach. You gotta be kidding me. This screams LeBron James and a team being owned by a woman. No offense, ladies, but let's keep it real. Jerry Buss is rolling over in his fucking grave today. That team was handed over. This is factual evidence, facts right here. I'm giving you facts because I just was with a person who worked in the Lakers organization for 15 years, who lived at Jim Buss's house for 10 years. Inside information, who I just bought 32 tequila shots for on Sunday. And I could bring him on the show. The Team was handed to Jim Buss, Smitty. He was at least honest with himself, and he told everybody, give me 3 years. If I can't win, I'm going to hand the team over to Jeannie. Jeannie saw the writing on the wall, and Jeannie went in and snatched that, bought half of it, took it over. She's got more interest now in it. Jim doesn't have, he's got a minority stake in it. And that's what he did. Jim said, I couldn't win. Here you go. Well, now since Jeannie has taken over, this franchise has been an absolute Hollywood movie. Winning during COVID, which many question the legitimacy of the championship.
But she did win, so it's still underneath her. You got to give it to her.
To not having a playoff series victory in 10 years prior to that fucking COVID title run. Now to a Western Conference final and a semifinal back-to-back years. Yet, though, however, fire another coach. And now we play musical chairs with trying to figure out who LeBron wants and who will draft his son, Bronny. Let's keep it funky. This is a failing organization. It needs to be corrected. Jeannie don't have the nuts, figuratively or literally, to hire a real coach. And frankly, there is a reason why that is. She doesn't have nuts. She defers to Rob Pelinka, Smitty.
Come on, bro.
Who is honestly a Kobe Bryant fan and his homie, who has no real backstory. He has no real backstory. Go show me his resume.
I think he became Kobe's agent, if I'm not mistaken.
Show me his resume. Exactly my point. He has now handled this job so badly. And now we are sitting here. We are sitting here one day after the Celtics just topped us for their 18th banner. Without a fucking coach, without a fucking leader, and without a fucking clue as to where we're going next. Make it make sense. Go ahead, Smitty. Dive into the Lakers, the debacle that they've become. And I'm just going to be honest. I did that on purpose because the Celtics just won their 18th. And now we're looking up at them. And I'm going to be honest. They're a lot farther behind the Celtics right now as we head into the offseason than we think, because this team is a bunch of pieces to a puzzle that we have no idea how to complete. These guys have missing pieces everywhere, Smitty. And now the main one is a fucking leader and a coach. But it starts at the top, Smitty. Shit rolls downhill, Smitty. There is no leadership in this organization from Jeannie Buss to Rob Pelinka. This is a fucking shit show, and we're throwing shit at the wall to see if a 41-year-old LeBron James, which will be, can lead us to another championship. Make it make sense. LeBron James cannot be the deciding factor on who you hire as a coach, Smitty. We have to go hire a guy for the long run, not for fucking one more year with LeBron James. And then what are we going to do? Fire another coach, Smitty? We're going to fire another coach? This guy was seen yesterday or 2 days ago with Nick Nurse. LeBron James has a video out there with Nick Nurse meeting privately somewhere on the East Coast with Nick Nurse. Now, are we having a problem, Houston? Smitty, my question to you, do you think there's a problem on hiring a coach? Because why did a guy turn it down? College coach. Why has J.J. Redick supposedly been offered a job or not been offered, and why has he not accepted? Why? Why is LeBron meeting with Nick Nurse now?
I saw that picture too. I'm still not for sure.
Why are we having a problem hiring a coach? Like, let's just keep it real. Let's not speculate on anything. Let's just talk facts.
To our knowledge, we've only offered one coach, and that one coach denied it because because he's coming from 2 back-to-back natties, and the money that we was offering didn't make sense for him to necessarily leave. It wasn't enough. So you're talking as if we've offered 3 coaches and they all turned it down.
I'm not talking.
Like we offered one coach so far. So
facts.
I can't really agree with you that they're struggling to hire a coach because that's not. I don't think that's completely true. The number one option that they went out with did not accept it because of his situation. He's coming from he can make history. Like he's in position to make history in college.
You must not know how coaching works. You must not get how organizations are ran. Because bottom line is, show me a coach in job that's still been open this late after the championship game has been won in the NBA, and show me a team of the Lakers' stature without a head coach heading into fucking July. So the facts of the matter that I want to address is that I just want to address the facts. The fact is we don't have a coach. You can speculate all you want. You can speculate all you want. Why we're meeting with Nick Nurse? Why this guy turned it down? Why we're meeting with fucking JJ Redick? Why this? Why that? The facts is that Jeff Van Gundy just signed to be an assistant coach across town to the JV organization, the Clippers. That is fact. That is fact. Why the Lakers didn't go after him? Why doesn't anyone want the Lakers' job? Because Jeannie Buss is a joke, and the organization is a joke, and nobody wants to address brass tacks. This is a failing leadership group. Rob Pelinka has no fucking clue what he's doing. You saw by exiting Magic Johnson from the entire situation just a few years ago. By the way, the last time I checked, Magic's kind of the main reason LeBron came there, is he not?
Yes.
So then you get rid of him, and guess what? Since you got
Magic
rid of him,
left.
Since you've gotten rid of Magic, well, it was a kind of
Magic
kick out
left.
the door. It was kind of a kick out the door because of Magic saw what was going on. Magic said his piece, and then you had a disgruntled Magic Johnson in that organization. He was like, all right, if you don't need me or want me, I'm out. So wouldn't you leave? You're a legend there. Why would you not deal with greatness? Why would you accept mediocrity if you're Magic Johnson? He said, no, fuck no, I'm not accepting this shit. And Rob Pelinka said, all right, well, it's my show now, and this is what you've done.
And we were just praising Rob Pelinka like a year ago. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy how us as fans, how we just so flip-floppy and we up and down like a roller coaster when it comes to certain people. Rob Pelinka was just getting praised, 2 years ago when they
won a bubble title.
The bubble, but then the West Conference Finals, we were looking like, damn, like, what a hell of a job of getting these pieces and get, in the bubble, it was Dwight Howard and all these guys and Caldwell Pope, and he did a hell of a job putting the pieces together. And then even a year or so ago in the West Conference Finals, it was like, oh my God, Rui Hachimura and who's the guy who plays good defense? These little guys, good job. Like, we were praising them. But then as soon as they get knocked down the first round, he sucks. He's shitty. He's horrible.
Let's be real.
It's like, listen, like, I get this, the Lakers and it's championship or bust, but like, context also matters, though. On one hand, we can't praise the Cap 2 years ago, and then 2 years later, when the Lakers get knocked down the first round against the reigning champions, say they suck and are shitty. Like, come on, man.
Let's be honest, though. We're only talking about it because it's in the news. We just were critiquing Jaylen Brown and fucking Tatum. What do you mean?
But
they lost 2 games.
I didn't say don't talk about it. I'm saying, how can you call this man shitty when 2 years ago, a year ago, you were praising him because you liked the moves they made?
They didn't win a title. It's not about praising them. I didn't praise anybody. I said that I liked the moves getting D-Lo last year, late in the season, and they camaraderie-wise, they built something, and then they lose and get swept by fucking Denver.
And who built that?
They get swept by Denver.
Who built that?
What do you mean, who built it?
Who played a role in making those moves happen? Who made the moves happen? Guy who you're saying.
Okay. Rob Pelinka is the GM.
Okay, so that's all I'm saying. Well, we got to be consistent.
Can I give you a little history lesson on what Rob Pelinka has done?
Please.
So Rob Pelinka has also gotten rid of, just be clear, and could have gotten, just so we're clear. I'm going to list you a bunch of names. Julius Randle, they had him. Brandon Ingram, they had him. The young people on this team, along with Kuzma, who they had and got rid of for Chico Sticks and string cheese. By the way, you could have got Jason Tatum in the draft. And guess what? Can we talk about Rob Pelinka then too? Because he's been a failure at a more higher cliff than he has success rate. He hasn't won a title. Let's just be real. He's not a title winning guy. And Frank Vogel gets zero credit. It's crazy to me what he did in that bubble. And then he gets fired a year later. And he goes to now Phoenix, and everybody's talking about how he's a bad coach. It's so ironic how we throw coaches under the bus, but we'll never throw players under the bus. It's so fucking funny to me. But anyway, Jeff Van Gundy's sitting out there. We don't even interview him. He goes to the Clippers. We got Nick Nurse out there who's sitting around we're meeting with. And then a college guy who we want for 10 years turns the job down. And the fact of the matter is guys are hiring assistant coaches across town from us, and we can't hire a fucking head coach. That's fact. It's not speculation. The speculation is why nobody wants to come here. That's all you and I can discuss. The fact is we don't have a coach, and it's now 18 title. We're looking up at Boston now in the banner like we're down 1, and I don't see it being fixed anytime soon with fucking with a 41-year-old as your face of your franchise with looming draft issues, and we already know that Bronny James is probably the number one discussion in that office as to who's being drafted. Like, this is about LeBron James. I just see it. It smells it. Like, there's a reason. Your GM's not talking to Nick Nurse. LeBron is, Smitty.
Jamie, real quick, because I want to make sure I'm help protecting that was not LeBron James in that picture. I know that was the speculations on Twitter, and that's what everybody thought. The groups in that picture turned out to be Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, Nick Nurse, and Josh Harris, all at the Four Seasons. It was speculations on the picture. They thought it looked like LeBron in the picture. It came out that was not true. It was Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, Nick Nurse, and Josh Harris at the Four Seasons. So LeBron James was not meeting with Nick Nurse. That's confirmed.
Good fact check. But let me ask you, though. Isn't your boy from Clutch representing those guys?
Representing who? The four guys who I just listed? I don't know.
Elton Brand, I think, is a Clutch guy. And so is one of those. What's the other coach's name?
Daryl. Well, it's not a coach. Daryl Morey.
Morey's not a Clutch guy.
Yeah.
Who's a Clutch guy?
It was Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, Josh Harris, and Elton Brand.
Is Josh Harris and Elton Brand a Clutch guy?
I have no idea who signed the Clutch. I didn't know Elton Brand was signed the Clutch, so you just said it. But I think regardless, that LeBron wasn't there. So I just want to make sure that's clear before we continue to say that. He was not there.
All right, so is Nick Nurse available?
I've not heard Nick Nurse's. Let's see. Let's find out right now.
He's not coaching, right?
He's with the Sixers, right? Yeah, he's with the Sixers. I think I think last year was his first year with the Sixers.
His last year was his first head coaching job with
the Sixers. Remember, he was with the Raptors, got a championship with the Raptors.
He's there at least 3 more years.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to jump in. I'm like, hold on, bro. I know we keep saying, but no, Nick Nurse is not even an option. It's not a realistic option.
Okay, so he won a title. By the way, he's a guy that won a title in Toronto, was fired as well, because this is player empowerment. Hold on. Fuck.
You all right?
I burned my goddamn poker table, man.
Damn.
He's a guy that just won a title, like Frank Vogel was kicked out, and now he don't have a job either. Just like your boy that just was fired by the Lakers, and now he's assistant with the Bucks.
Darvin Ham is assistant to Doc Rivers in Milwaukee.
You fired the Bucks head coach who won a title just 1 year removed. You fired him. You hire a coach. They had the best record in the East, and then they fire him and hire Doc Rivers. If this doesn't scream player empowerment, I don't know what does. But this is, again, why I scream this all the time. We're okay with coaches getting fired, but we're not okay with kids transferring. We're not okay with we're okay with kids demanding trades. We're okay with all this player empowerment. But once a coach gets fired, I don't hear any of you guys crying and bitching and moaning that he only got fired after 1 year. This is crazy how that works. We don't give a fuck about that, but we care about, JB, it's the business. Roquan Smith can demand a trade. It's okay. But then the coach gets fired after 1 year for not winning, and then you wonder why. It's like, come on, man. You guys are fucking crazy with that shit. But anyway, moving on, Smitty. Go ahead.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Moving ahead, though. First of all, I disagree with everything you said, but that's neither here nor there. We always disagree, so that's regular stuff. But we got about 8 minutes, I think, before Steve Campbell joins us. So let's move on to some college football a little bit here.
Yeah, can I just time it? Can we wait for Shaun on that? Because can we wait for the college football for Shaun King?
Let's do that then.
I got a question for you though, off the record. I think Bailey may have some shit in, but I got a question for you. Are the Jets a bad organization? I'm just throwing it out there. You got all this talent, dog. You got all this talent, and I don't know if you've heard the latest news, but you got all this talent out there, and this roster's loaded, but you have bad leadership. Let's just be real. You have a horrible led group of men, whether it's ownership, GM, or head coach. I don't know which one it is, but it's a bad led organization. And the latest news is Hassan Reddick apparently has lied to the organization. Before he was traded to the team, he gave his word that no matter what, he would attend off-season camp. ESPN notes that he noticed Brian Huff and John Franklin Myers were no longer with the team, so he had leverage. And apparently, we just said it on this show 2 weeks ago that Robert Saleh came out and said, I've talked to him. He's in good space. He will be here for camp. Remember?
Yep.
Saleh said he'll be here. Now Reddick said, no, I'm not. And he's not shown up. Let's be honest, Smitty. Why is anyone shocked? And why? I better not hear one person come after Hassan Reddick for not showing up. And I'm saying that. A guy that will go after a motherfucker for not showing up, right?
Let me hear why. Let me hear why.
Your fucking leader and your fucking ayahuasca motherfucker ain't there. Why are we really shocked? You allowed your motherfucking biggest name guy not to be there. Not to show up, Smitty, but now we're tripping that the rest of these guys aren't going to start showing up? Didn't we just talk about this yesterday with Matt? Didn't we just say that shit's stacking up? And didn't I say on this show a while back that when this has allowed by Aaron Rodgers, then why wouldn't someone else think it's okay? Why wouldn't another cat think, oh, man, fuck this? Dog, you can only do it for so long, Smitty, before other guys start to say, man, fuck this, man. This ain't the GOAT. This ain't Tom Brady we're talking about demanding greatness. This is him, Aaron Rodgers, doing his own thing as he's continued to do for his career. And there's a reason why you have one title, in my opinion, as the greatest ball spinner of all time. The greatest skill set, Smitty, in my opinion, doesn't equate. Like, it's not, for some reason, there's something missing. Why is he the greatest ball spinner, but yet only has this to show for it?
Because in the NFC Championship game, his team's defense have given up 33.5 points per game. So that's a large part of it. It's not all because of that, because there's definitely moments when you watch particular games, you're like, damn, Aaron, like make the right play. You don't think it has
nothing to do?
The one time he had a top 10 defense is the one time he got a ring. So I do think it's multiple things. I think it's organization. I think it's help around him, but it's also Aaron Rodgers as well. Aaron Rodgers deserves a slice of that blame as the leader and the quarterback, but I can't just throw it all on him.
Hey, you don't think it has anything to do with him in Tampa when he choked off beating Tom Brady just a couple years ago? When
I just said that it
No, you didn't. You said defense. I'm talking about him on the goal line going in the score.
The only thing you heard was defense, and then you blacked out. But
I didn't black out. You said that he's had defenses that have cost him games in NFC
given up average. This is a stat.
I'm saying no. I'm calling bullshit.
I said also you look at.
I'm calling bullshit.
Game, it's different case by case as well. Where it's time
I'm calling bullshit.
I literally said that. We can rewind.
I'm calling him on the red zone, and I can just specifically, I'm calling him on the goal line and in the red zone, having opportunities to win games on his own accord, which GOATs and legends do, and he choked. He choked for his Tampa. He choked for his Frisco 3 different times. He's choked off NFC title games with the ball in his hands. The ball in his hands. So I'm just throwing that out there. Now, Smitty, here's my take. I want to give you a legitimate take on my thinking on this. Aaron Rodgers got hurt last year in three plays into a season.
Yes, he was.
After an organization said, here, we're going to give you this whole deal. We're going to give you a great 1-year deal. We'll re-up you on a year 2 deal, and we're going to give you all this. To me, it screams entitlement for whatever reason that you got hurt. You got some new pieces around you. You got Mike Williams now. You got to get him on the right page. I get there. You were there and all this whole shit. But let's just be honest, Smitty. I would be like, damn, dog, you only played 3 games. How important is it to show you that you're the guy? You're going to lead this team. You're going to come back with vengeance. I'm going to win a Super Bowl here. We're going to do this thing. That's that side, okay?
Yeah.
The other side, what if Aaron just don't give a fuck? What if Aaron has 1 title already and he's content? He's fine with it. Like, what if that's the case that nobody wants to talk about? Maybe that's the case, Smitty. Maybe he's content, dog, and he doesn't give a fuck. He's made enough money to last forever. He doesn't care about what people think about him, obviously, which I respect. And then you have maybe he's content with his one title. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's going to be an argument and a debate on this show and everybody else's show. But what if he is just content? And he's like, yeah, fuck it. I don't care what you say about me. Obviously, we know that. But what if he's just like, hey, dog, Smitty, this is who it is. Other players do it. You defend players on here all the time that do it. I'm not defending any of them. All I'm asking is, it could be that his mindset. And then on this side of it, Smitty, I question the fact that why aren't you there if you're the guy that wants to come back with a vengeance after an injury? Because for competitive natured guys like myself, Smitty, and I know Aaron is too, but I would be like chomping at the bit to try to get back out there because I left a pretty damn good roster kind of strapped last year with a young QB who wasn't ready to play. And then I feel like, damn, I got to get out here and prove myself that I can still play at an MVP level. I'm 40 now. I'm still going to do it like Tom Brady did it. I just don't see that, dog. I see too many other things being first. And that's the bottom line, Smitty. I get it. Personal shit and all that. But I see too many other things being first over this particular team, which clearly, Smitty, lacks some sort of leadership from the adults in the room, even though we know we're talking about Aaron Rodgers being 40. I'm talking about adults, meaning management, ownership, and guys that paying these salaries. I think there's a lack of leadership, clearly, or this wouldn't be so much talk. There just wouldn't be this much talk about it. And that's my opinion.
I hear you, man. But I know someone who has a great opinion on all things, and that's the one and only Korean coach himself, Mr. Steve Kim, is locked and loaded and ready for the show. What's going on, Steve?
Morning, fellas. What's going on?
What up, Steve? What up? Hey, Steve, let me get your take right out the gate. I saw you on Whitlock yesterday about this Aaron Rodgers thing. What's your real take on this Aaron Rodgers thing? One side of me is we don't know what he's thinking. He could be fully content with one Super Bowl ring. The other thing is I'd be chomping at the bit as a competitor to be out there after playing 3 snaps and losing on a really good roster and leaving the team in Zach Wilson's hands with a very, let's be honest, unproven offensive coordinator who was fired in Denver as a head coach midway through the season. And now we all sit up here and critique this guy, Nathaniel Hackett. We said, hey, without Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett's a nobody. With Aaron runs the offense, and Nathaniel's just a puppet. Like, it seems like a lot of turmoil, a lot of things here in New York right now. And Aaron not being there, to Matt McChesney's point yesterday before him and Smitty fought, it was like very, very evident that this is a real thing. And I'm glad Matt said it. Like, no, Aaron not being there is a real thing. It's an important thing. And it is really a black eye on the leadership group there, ownership, GM, and head coach, in my opinion.
Well, at what point is mandatory? I don't get it. It's not voluntary. It's mandatory. You're a quarterback who has no real cachet there. You have not put in 15 great years. You played 3 snaps. It's not like Tom Brady deciding in his 18th year to take an off-season hiatus. I think that's a little bit different. You got a lot of moving parts. They've catered to your every need. They brought in your specific coordinator. You're the leader of that, at least one side of the ball. And that's why you got to have your best player set the best example, because it keeps everybody else in line.
And Steve, I don't want to hear the Smitty will come back and combat it with.
I'm not saying nothing.
I know, but Smitty will combat that with, well, he did show up for non-mandatory. That has nothing to do with mandatory. This is mandatory now. I don't care that he showed up in OTAs with shorts on. This is when it counts. Right now, you have the precedent to set. I don't care about non-mandatory that you showed up. Yay, good for you, because it worked around your schedule, Steve. And it was very, very easy because I didn't have to go to ayahuasca in a dark room and all this whole shit. It worked in my schedule. Steve, I'm just going to be honest. As a head coach, I give out my schedule months ago. Months. You've had this thing all spring and summer and fall, and now all of a sudden you don't know when your family reunion is, or when your ayahuasca retreat is, or when your weddings are. No, this is professional football, man. What are we talking about?
If Aaron Rodgers would have had a 5,000-yard, 48 touchdown season, and throwing at 66% clip, I'd be like, okay, you're still Aaron Rodgers. You played 3 snaps last year. Everyone's job is on the line. And when the coach says himself, it's unexcused. Well, yeah, it's an issue. I mean,
Are you guys, all right, last thing, well, for me on this, are you guys concerned right now that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a down year because of this?
No, quit saying that, Smitty.
No, I'm just asking. I'm asking. I didn't say.
It's not going to affect Aaron Rodgers throwing the football.
Do you guys think that? Do you think the Jets will have a down? Okay, the Jets thing. You think the Jets will have a down year?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool. That's cool. All right.
No. I'm not saying that.
A down year from last year. I mean, they were pretty bad last year.
That's my point. Like,
can you get any downer? I mean. Your quarterback is supposed to set the tone.
I'm with you guys. Like it's bad optics. I give you that. It's bad optics. How much will it play into the season? I don't know.
No, I mean, look, if he one-hops an out pattern or an out route or overthrows a go route in the middle of November, no one's going to look back on these things. But, I mean, these things kind of do matter. Your quarterback has to be the first in, last out. Not, well, when I'm in, and when I'm out, I'm out. I don't know. I just...
Like, I think we're talking two things because Smitty brings this up all the time about we know he's the best ball spinner still, in my opinion. He's not going to miss a hitch ball because he was in ayahuasca. I'm not saying that. But at the end of the day, what we will question, Smitty and Steve, is if they don't win again, we'll go back to this. It ain't going to be a missed throw. It ain't going to be a missed throw, though. It ain't going to be about a missed throw, though. It's going to be about missing a playoff or a Super Bowl. That is what the discussion will be, not a missed throw.
Playing a Super Bowl is hard to do, and like if they make to the playoff, which would be the first time since 2010, I believe. First of all, that's already for the organization. That's a huge win. Number one. Number two, if they lose in the divisional round to the Chiefs or to the Ravens or to the I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh my God, how did that happen? Like, well, damn, it's football. And these are some other really good, young, talented teams out here. We're acting like the Jets is just a no-brainer. They should just get the Super Bowl. They have a good roster, just like a lot of other teams do on paper. But we still got to see it all come together. So, like, I mean, we're talking
right. So that's why Aaron Rodgers should be there.
Sure, he should be there. But I'm not going to act like this 2-day of non-padded minicamp is going to be the difference between them winning a Super Bowl or not. I'm sorry. Me personally, I'm not saying
that's speculation.
Wrong. My opinion on it. I just don't agree with that.
But remember, Smitty and Steve, shit stacks up. And guess what today's news is? Hassan Reddick don't show up. And I told you, shit stacks up. Now Hassan Reddick is not showing up. Why not? Why is it news? Aaron Rodgers ain't there. So how can I hold him accountable? Like, this is a pecking order thing, Smitty. This starts to roll downhill.
But Hassan Reddick hasn't shown up at all. Hassan Reddick wasn't there for the non-mandatory stuff when Aaron Rodgers was there. So we're blaming Aaron Rodgers for it. But in reality, Hassan Reddick might have his own shit going on because he hasn't been there from day one.
Yeah. I'm not blaming Aaron Rodgers. What I'm saying is the next guy that misses too, and then there's another guy. There's another issue. We shouldn't be mad at Hassan Reddick is my point. We shouldn't be talking shit about Hassan Reddick missing right now because your main figurehead is not there. So how can you really be mad at Hassan Reddick? That's my point, Smitty. That's called leadership. Leaders create more leaders, not followers. What are we doing here?
I'm with you. Bad optics. I hear you.
All right, Steve. We had Fight Palooza the other night. We all know. I made a bunch of food and we ate, and it was a good showing. We had I won the poker game, by the way, when you left. What's your biggest takeaway with that fight?
The expected. Look, Frank Martin is a decent fighter. By today's standards, he's a contender. But even when he was winning the fight, I never felt Tank was particularly threatened. And if you can't have the ability to back up Tank at least once in a while, you're going to have problems holding him off for 36 minutes. And by the 6-7, I said to myself, this is going to get really tough here because Tank is starting to close in. And Tank is among the most vicious, violent finishers in the sport of boxing. He's a very, very tough out at 135 because of that power.
You guys both called it. You guys both called it around the same rounds as well.
Tank always fights that way. If you watch his fights, he always starts off kind of like slower, I would say, kind of reading his opponent, seeing like what their power is going to be like, what's their strategy is, and then around 4 or 5 is when he starts to pick it up. So it's kind of expected, in my opinion. I'm hearing rumors now that, obviously after the fight, they asked him, who do you want next? He didn't really give you any clear cut, but they threw out Stevenson, of course. They threw out Loma. How serious? I want to talk about the Loma situation first. How serious do you think that of a possibility do you think that could be between Loma and Tank?
Very good. Best it's ever been. I actually heard those rumors last week or a couple of weeks ago. And that fight would probably, if it is consummated, probably take place in December. I'm hearing New York might be a venue. The thing with Shakur is that Shakur's got a fight in about 2-3 weeks.
Yep.
August 6th in Newark. And I believe that'll be his last fight with Top Rank. So you got to figure out, if he does leave Bob Arum's company, where does he land? Where does he get situated? And then that'll kind of determine if he's ever in the running for the Tank Davis fight. So right now, I believe the main focus is the fight between Gervonta Davis and Vasily Lomachenko.
Hey, Steve, real quick, not to cut off Smitty, but
go ahead.
Sean King's going to come in at 8 when you leave. And he had, I know he wanted to ask you, but he mentioned the other day, he's like, man, I'm just tired of seeing these guys fight these nobodies. Now, I don't know if you would consider Frank Martin a nobody or not, but he's like, why does this guy sit out 2 years? To your point, he was like, I agree with Steve, 2 years off, and then you fight a nobody.
Well, all right, Frank Martin last year fought one time, I believe, against a guy, Harton Aratunian, who's fighting, by the way, coming off a loss against Shakur Stevenson. I don't know why ESPN would allow that. But I don't think Top Rank wanted to pay for a top-notch opponent, knowing that this could be, or is most likely, Shakur's last fight with them. And you're right. Look, Frank Martin's not a bad fighter. He's an athletic guy. He's got some tools. But his last fight was against a rather nondescript opponent in a small ballroom at the Cosmopolitan in front of about 2,000 people at most. And guess what? A lot of people don't think he won that fight. So let's not make it sound like Gervonta Davis just knocked out Shane Mosley of 1998. We have to be realistic about this. I think Gervonta is really good, but do I believe his resume is a little bit lacking to really put him in that pound-for-pound upper echelon discussion? In my opinion, yes, it is.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. And I'm a fan of Tank, but I mean, you look at his resume, he hasn't really fought any big name. I think if he does fight Loma, that would be the very first true opponent I think people would respect. And talking about that fight a little bit more, I saw something online. I can't remember who put it out there, but they made a good point about if this fight does happen, knowing how Tank typically does his fights, he kind of gives you rounds, so to speak, right? I don't know if you can do that against a Loma, because the only way I can really see Tank beating Loma is if he does knock him out, because Loma's a guy who just from a pure boxing skill set standpoint, he knows how to win those rounds. Could you see Tank beating him by decision?
Well, look, Tank is a pool hall hustler. He gives you something early to take it all back late. And I believe after 5 or 6 rounds, Loma will be ahead. But again, as I stated in my column, you can win the sprints against Tank. I don't know if you can win the marathon. And keep this in mind about Loma. He's 37. The legs do not have the same bounce or the vibrancy they did, let's say, 7-8 years ago. He's a little bit more of a flat-footed front foot fighter who sticks inside the pocket. He's no longer that guy that darts in and out the way he used to. He does it in spurts, but he's a little bit more stationary. So there's going to be more opportunities for Tank. And here's the thing about Tank. He's very crafty. He knows how to lay traps. He's a really good counterpuncher. So I don't think it's just a given that Loma's just going to be able to float around that ring for 36 minutes. I just think with that steady pressure and the underrated ring IQ of Tank, I don't think anyone can just box him for 36 minutes easily. Now, maybe if this matchup happened 5 years ago, maybe that could have happened. But again, you are talking about a 37-year-old fighter with a little bit of tread on that tire.
That's a good point. And just for clarity for myself, like I'm not saying Tank doesn't have the ability to do it. Just typically his style or his approach to these fights isn't one of trying to focus on winning rounds. I'm sure you saw this too. Someone leaked the full video of the famous.
Well, Floyd did that. Petty mother.
So I don't. So okay, Floyd leaked it. Him and Tank have this weird. I don't know what it beef or whatever it is. That isn't that like rule like number one that you just never do that. You never put out the training video like that. That's supposed to be like, you know what I'm saying, like behind the scenes.
Well, it's like Fight Club, but the code has been broken through social media. I see a lot of young fighters do it, inexperienced trainers. Floyd being petty. I think Floyd is showing his ass here. It really is. There's a reason why a lot of his ex-fighters, led by Tank, do not like him. Ishe Smith, who was a former world champion, on Twitter, he's been very clear about his relationship with Floyd, what he thinks of him. There's been other fighters that have left Mayweather promotions, and I don't know what he's doing. But look, sparring is sparring. A lot of times, one guy's in much better shape or much closer to a fight than the other guy, so they're going to be closer to the physical peak. The other thing is you're talking about 16-ounce gloves, headgear, and certain guys will take sparring a little bit more seriously than others. I don't think it shows much. So I don't think that stuff is a great look for Floyd. I think both these guys are being used as pawns in this diabolical game by Mayweather. And Floyd's Floyd. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I saw Devin Haney actually took the little 5-second clip when he went up to Tank and like hit him when he wasn't looking and retweeted on his own Twitter. Like,
right, and I'm like, Tank, that makes you look like a cheap.
Or Haney, yeah, Haney's like, that's a bad look, right?
I mean, I wouldn't put that up there as like some sort of yeah. I'm just like, but it's a different era. Let's just put it that way.
Steve, I want to dive into some. I want to dive into two things. One of your favorite topics, NBA.
I didn't watch a single minute of that final, so if you're going to ask me about that,
I don't know why Debbie keep doing this. I'm like, please, Steve.
Hey, I already know, but I do know he knows the answer to this. Out of all your years, though, on this earth, because I just said it was mine, is this the most uninterested, lackluster NBA playoff run that you can remember? Just nobody cares. Like, it just seems to me that NBA has gone downhill.
Well, if you look at the television ratings the last 15, 20 years, there's been a certain trend. But, I mean, look, I was on Twitter last night, and I read some tweets from people that obviously are much more interested than I am in this. And they were saying it was a very, very uninteresting, nondescript NBA playoff run. Guys like Scap Attack, who does a great YouTube channel, he thought it was just absolute sewerage. So I'll take their word for it. I don't think I really missed out on all that much.
Nah, you didn't.
And I think the league, look, say what you want about LeBron, but once LeBron and KD and Steph, once they kind of ride off into the sunset, I don't know if there's any strong personalities that we're going to latch onto the way we have those three, among others.
That's why I asked, Smitty, that's why I asked him this question, because I want to ask you to segue for it. The Lakers are a team after their arch nemesis just hung their 18th banner 10 hours ago. Still don't have a coach, leader, or any identity in that organization. That is, to me, the biggest telltale sign of all of them. Like, and guess what, Steve? Today, this morning, the Clippers signed Jeff Van Gundy as an assistant to Ty Lue. Again, the Lakers lose out. The Lakers can't even hire an assistant coach. So, like, the Lakers have a long way to go to try to catch not only the great team.
I'll say this. They have not Fredo Corleone. They have Freda Corleone and Jeannie Buss. And unfortunately, because she's a female, nobody wants to talk about what a disaster she's been. And
I just talked about it.
It's a far cry from the great Dr. Jerry Buss.
I just said that.
I have no faith in that current leadership to right the ship. And I'm not saying Jim Buss would have been any better. I don't believe the Lakers should sell the team. Look, that's their legacy. It's a family business. It is what it is. But Jeannie Buss is insistent on trying to shoehorn LeBron James as a quote unquote true Laker who's going to have a statue and a jersey retirement and all that. It doesn't play well to at least a third of our fan base. We have never accepted LeBron. I'm not even a Laker fan for the time being. I'm a Laker fan in recess. So I've never seen this much apathy towards our Lakers ever.
And I think Smitty and we're all Laker fans, all three of us. And it's like, but I'm not, like you say, when they made LeBron the face of that franchise, I just had a certain like ill will towards my Lakers.
And then I heard something about a Lakers offering him a 3-year, 160, and I'm like, 3 years? Well, 3? I mean, the guy's going to turn 40 by the end of the year.
That means you're signing his son, right? That means you're signing his son. That's what that means. I mean, let's just
third year will probably be an option, I'm assuming. So it's probably really a 2-year.
Still though. So that means you have no plan in place for the next.
Let's be real. The Lakers take care of their player. I mean, listen. As much as we love Kobe on here, Kobe's last year was. I mean, it was not the Kobe that we know, and they paid him.
Guess what? I hated it. And I hated it. I'm fair about this stuff. I thought the last 3 years of Kobe were a disaster. It set the franchise back almost a decade.
I mean, the last 10 years, Smitty or Steve, before the COVID year, they haven't really done shit as a franchise. Like, I don't know. It's bad.
It's been a decade since Jerry Buss died. Look at what's happened in that 10-year, 11-year span.
They got one ring.
Yep. Steve, let me dive into some college football with you. Your Miami Hurricanes, we got a little stat line for transfers in and transfers out. Colorado leads that number, but I made a bigger point. I wanted to make it a bigger point to you. Like, I get the numbers and all that, but this is astonishing to me because Michigan State, I know it's a new head coach. Alabama, new head coach. Louisville, second-year guy. Mario, third, entering 3?
Entering 3.
Arkansas, I mean, they kept him, and I don't get it. Cincinnati, Willie Fritz at Houston, first-year guy. USC on there. I can't give that pass to Lincoln Riley. He's been there and established that place already. And this is a telltale sign for the college landscape. It's a way bigger thing than just Colorado and just anybody else. I don't see how you can really have success, Steve, in this landscape and build men anymore. We know that's not happening. But transfers in and transfers out, it's not just one school. It's the entire thing. And it just doesn't sit well with me. I don't get it.
Well, Coach, to be fair, Lincoln Riley's also, I think, entering year 3 at USC. So, him and Cristobal got their jobs at the same offseason. It's interesting about Miami. I asked somebody who I consider an insider. He is a source. He played there. He's very connected. I would say he's pretty influential. And I asked him, I go, are we always just going to hit the portal? Is this what he said, no, basically, Mario wants to expedite the rebuilding process like everybody else. The days of Butch Davis having to do it 5 years, I'm just going with the high school recruiting and some JUCO are over. You can now basically speed up the process by at least a year or two. And I said, well, let me ask you something. Does Mario still believe in building a roster that is still basically homegrown high school talent? He said, yes. And I said, what do you think, about 80%? He says, no, more than that. He says he wants to, if this program ever gets running the way he wants, the days of him having to get 10 players, 15 players in an offseason would be over. We're talking about a couple of players here and there to fill a roster spot. But I think it's been unfair to just point out Dion as like what is wrong or a symbol of the transfer portal. It really is, because everybody is doing it. And here's the thing, though, Coach. The players are actually initiating just as much of it as the coaches.
That's my point.
I look, so I don't know what you can do. Like, let me just tell you a story. Nowadays, when a team goes through a coaching change, I guarantee you at least half that roster of that team is on the phone, and they're thinking, hey, where do I go? What can I do? What's my NIL package? They start making phone calls. So they, in essence, become free agents. I remember, who did I tell this? Who told me this story? It's Claude Jones, who has 3 national title rings at Miami, and then Roland Smith. He's a cornerback at Miami. He has 2 national title rings, and he's now actually working in the program at Miami. Patty, I interviewed them both years ago, and I asked them about the transition from Jimmy Johnson to Erickson, and they both told me when Jimmy Johnson came in the weight room to say, hey, guys, I love you guys, but I'm off to Dallas, just beat Notre Dame, and he walks out the door, that instead of everyone saying, oh my God, we're all going to transfer, no. A couple of the team leaders led by Bernard Tiger Clark, he was the middle linebacker. He basically closed the door and he said, okay, we love Jimmy. He's gone, but we have a national championship caliber team here. I'm going to say this right now. Whoever wants to transfer, get the out right now. I'm not hearing this shit. So if you're going to stay, you get 10 minutes to make up your mind. Now, if you're going to stay here, we're going to be okay. That's the way it was. I think those days are over.
And Steve,
I hate to say it. It's over.
Yesterday, I did a little rant with Smitty about this exact take you just made. This ain't a Dion thing. This ain't anybody's thing. It is a landscape problem. And I said to Smitty yesterday, Steve, if you define the word recruitment and recruiter, the number one thing that sticks out to me that we lack is retention and retaining players. If you're such a great recruiter, you should not be losing 35 kids at Alabama. I'm just going to be honest. Like, nobody
Coach,
should lose
I'm
that
with
many.
you. Coach, I actually think this is an easy out for coaches when they make evaluation errors. And there was a part of me as Miami was going through the portal. I said, well, hold on. Mario, do you trust yourself or not? These are some of your players. And I get it. Some of these were Manny Diaz holdovers. And I'll be honest with you. Out of all the players Miami's lost, there's only been a couple of kids that I said, oh, that's a tough one. Elijah Roberts, defensive lineman, had a really good year at SMU. He would have been a good rotational player. And Colby Young, who's going to have a really good year catching passes from Carson Beck at Georgia. Those are the two guys out of all of them that I said, man, those guys could have helped us or are going to help us. But here's the other issue. I mean, Miami picked up a kid from Michigan State named Simeon Barrow. Big body. He's going to be a rotational piece on the front line. Miami needed a war daddy up front. Here's a guy that says, I'm announcing I'm going to Miami. He gets on campus. He starts working out. Then 2 weeks ago, there were reports he's leaving Miami. Well, wait a minute. You're transferring out of the transfer portal to a school that you just got to go to another school. I actually wish Miami had the leverage to say, well, get the hell out of here. But here's the problem. We lost other players at that position, like Harrison Hunt, who I thought developed into a good, solid backup type of piece. So now you have to make amends, even if this kid, I don't want to say use the word holding hostage, but has a little bit of leverage over you. That's what college football is nowadays.
Yeah, I just like you're talking about a place like Alabama. Listen, I don't even want to talk about the current landscape and the current coaches because we know this is just a free for all now. It's a wild, wild west. But I still want to talk about the actual college. Miami, a blue blood. Alabama, a blue blood. USC. When you think of these schools, though, you think guys should want to stay at these institutions regardless of who's there. Steve, we used to go through this, Steve. We lost a coach, but guess what? The band of brothers got together and were like, man, fuck, this is our school. We're gonna win with who's the new coach, whatever. Nowadays, it's like coach leaves, 30 guys enter the portal regardless of who's coming in, and then they sit there and say, hey, we're gonna wait and see who we hire. But you're in this limbo status.
And look, I remember Pat Narduzzi got into some trouble because he said, look, unlike I think things were taken out of context, or I hope they were. Pat Narduzzi got hammered for supposedly ripping Dion when he said, look, I'm of the nature that if I take over a team, I want to coach those kids up. I'm not running kids off. I'm not going to use the portal as much as Dion. I want to coach those kids up. But here's the issue, though, and I tell this to kids all the time, and I know people didn't like it when I get on these spaces, and I would tell everybody, look, if you're going to be a guy that's just good enough to play college football and you don't make the National Football League, you have still made it farther than 98% of the people that ever played the game. And if you walk away with the serviceable degree, you've made it in life. You did the right thing. But a lot of kids, I don't think I don't know if they're just being relegated to being a backup or they're happy with it. Look, the Claude Jones, the guy that I mentioned, right? He did not play till about his fourth year in the program. He had the red shirt, okay? And he's a doctor now, a very successful doctor. And I'll never forget a funny story that he told me about how cutthroat college football is. When Jimmy Johnson recruited him, he was at his house, and he's looking through the media guide for the depth chart. And Jimmy goes, now, Claude, what are you doing? And he goes, well, Coach, I'm looking at the depth chart of the offensive line. He goes, Claude, I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't matter about who's here, because if you don't compete, we're just going to send you back anyway. So fast forward, his redshirt freshman year, he has a knee injury. So he's in the training room getting treatment, and Jimmy's coming through, checking up on the starters, taking up blood. And Claude, as a redshirt freshman, tries to say hi to Jimmy. Jimmy just looks at him and says, Claude, I don't talk to injured players. And he just walked out. It's a business. You better understand, this is a cutthroat thing here. But he graduated with a degree. He's making a good living. He got some memories. And I'll never forget. So 2 years ago, I'm reading Jimmy Johnson's latest book, Swagger. And it's funny because Claude was not a star player, never played in the NFL. Jimmy actually mentioned him 2 times in the book as, hey, we produced this at Miami. We produce grown men that are helping society. It's not just football. I was blown away that he even remembered Claude, because he left Claude after his 3rd year. He went to Dallas.
We remember everything. Here's the thing. It's welcome in, Shaun. This is the thing I got to say about it, because we got Dion. We call him Prime.
Coach Prime.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying we got these prime sexuals in the chat, and these prime sexuals like Fat Still and all this. He's not smart enough. Fat Still's not a very smart guy. But having said that, he's not smart enough to grasp the fact that he thinks that Dion stole players from Pat Narduzzi. How about if I told you Pat Narduzzi got rid of those motherfuckers? See, this is the thing we don't understand. You're not getting new players. You're getting recycled players from everyone else. They all left somewhere. It makes no sense. Guess what? Colorado's players that left, guess where they went? To another D1. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul, Shaun, and Steve.
JB, I got 2 things for you. First of all, Steve Kim, super intelligent, high sports IQ. Never talk to him about the Hurricanes. He's got these Miami goggles on, and they just skew his view of reality. Listen, Cristobal has led the damn college football in transfers, and then you're going to believe that he's going to all of a sudden switch and grow it from homegrown high school talent? It's not going to happen. Having said that, the transfer portal is just like recruiting. You're going to have the teams that are really good at it, that are efficient, that do their due diligence, that go out and find guys that can really come in and contribute. Then you're going to have other programs that just go based on where a kid was ranked in high school. We've got a void, so he has the measurables. We're going to add him to the mix. And I think it's going to make the gap wider than it was with high school recruiting. Because at least in high school recruiting, you had a cap on how many players you could bring in. So Georgia and Alabama could only take so many of the best of the best. This transfer thing, it's the Wild Wild West. We'll see. I just think they're going to be programs that are really good.
Shaun, before Steve says something, isn't recruiting the definition? You coach at South Florida. You were there. You got to, when you take a new program.
Recruiter of the year too, JB.
Recruiter of the year. When you take a new job, though, Shaun, tell me if I'm wrong, because I think I've done this long enough. Retention should be number 1 job for a recruiter. I'm going to go through my fine-tooth comb my roster, and I understand we're going to create a culture. But in that culture, we're not trying to get rid of everybody. We're going to try to see if we can build some men and have them buy into our culture. And then the guys that don't, we get rid of them, Shaun. You're a cancer. Get out of here. And then we'll bring in new. But we're getting rid of everybody.
And I love to hear you guys' opinion on this. And this is for new coaches. If there's one glaring mistake that I think a lot of them make, is that there are no capable football players already here.
Right.
If you ask me one mistake that I thought Dion made, there probably were some guys that could have been starters, or if not starters, legit backups for Dion in his first couple years there at Colorado while he took his time. And I'm just using him because he's high profile. Everybody's familiar with it, but this messaging goes across the board. How can I get rid of a room of guys before I really know what's in there? Some of those guys maybe just weren't getting coached at the highest level. Some of them may have been mentally just completely torn away for losing. Let's say I went to I had a Smitty who was backing up some guys that coach was playing favorites in the room. And I just tell Smitty, hey man, you couldn't start for this group, man. Get the hell out of town. I might be getting rid of a guy that can actually contribute and help me that's already bought into the program. So the only thing I would say with these new coaches, I would exhibit a little more patience. I wouldn't be so quick to make all these decisions pre-spring. I give that current group a chance to go through MAC drills, go through spring football, a semester in our weight program, and see if maybe we got some guys who can actually really play that just weren't reaching their potential previously.
And Steve, are we lacking building a program, especially with depth, when you get rid of 40 guys?
But, Coach, here's the other issue. I don't know how many kids now, because there's such a pressure to make the league. And then there's the NIL dynamic. Right. I don't know how many kids are willing to wait 3 to 4 years to become that starter. I really don't. I hear rumors all the time of a high 4 or 5 star that if they're not playing by conference play or their true freshman year, you always hear rumblings. Oh, this kid's a little unhappy. Over what? He just moved into his dorm room.
And you know what? I think it goes back to leadership. I think it goes back to messaging. I think it falls on trust. What did you tell said player to get him there? Did you tell him he was going to play early? Sit in the living room with the parents and say, listen, we think Smitty's a hell of a player right now. We got some guys that are damn near NFL caliber. If you trust us with Smitty, it might not happen in year 1, but we promise you, by the time he leaves here, he'll be the best version of him. We're going to ask for patience, just like you guys asked us for trust. If that's your message from the beginning, that kid is more likely to be willing to stay. But if you tell Smitty, listen, if you sign here at Oklahoma, you're going to start day 1.
Yeah, right.
Sean, he get there and he's 3rd on the depth chart, and he's going to be walking around with the pouty face.
Shaun, I talked to someone in the Miami room last year that was in the building, and they said, Steve, nowadays you bring up that word red shirt, you're out of the running. All these parents, and oftentimes the parent is the problem. They want their little child to be their lottery ticket, and they're on a 3-year plan. I think it's a very, very short-sighted, almost destructive mindset. Okay, and so a lot of this is cultural. That these kids are not in this for 5 years to get a degree and do everything else, including football. They're saying, oh, in 3 years, I'm going to be posing with Roger Goodell. So you can't, I don't know how many times you can actually have that very honest discussion like, hey, kid, you need about 25 pounds of good weight on you. That means you're going to redshirt. That means this kid's already saying, well, this school's out. Honestly.
And the only reason I differ with you right here, because I think, first of all, you weed out those families in recruiting anyway. I mean, there are enough.
Isn't that most of them, though?
Yeah, but no, not really. And then I think it's not content all the time, it's presentation. If you're recruiting a defensive lineman or a big-bodied athlete to Miami, part of my recruitment is, listen, this is what we think your son projects as, but never forget, Warren Sapp came here as a tight end. And we found out through trust on our end, discipline, accountability, and development that he was a Hall of Fame 3 technique. Now, I say, during this journey with your child, listen, you got to trust us. This is not going to be overnight success. Do you want us to babysit a kid, or do you want us to develop a young man? And you got to be, that messaging's got to be in your recruitment from the beginning. And listen, the people and the families that don't want to come, okay, you dodging bullets because they weren't going to stay anyway. But the ones that buy into that messaging, listen, I'm telling you, got somebody that's going to rock with you.
Yeah, you got to sell them, in my opinion. Hey, Steve, I know Steve got to go, Shaun, but to your point, I know you had something. The fight.
Tank Davis is the most exciting guy in boxing, and he's nowhere in my top 5 pound for pound.
I don't disagree.
Top 10?
Yeah.
Nah.
You know what this fight showed me? It's a reason that they avoided Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson. What's the left-handed kid from Philly who Tank was beefing with way early?
Oh, Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer. Yeah, here's the problem. Tevin Farmer couldn't break a smoke ring.
I know, but we're talking about 17, 18 when they were. So we're talking about young Tank. This showed me that Tank's got to be careful against an athletic, skilled boxer. Because Frank Martin just didn't have the experience to get from round 8 to round 12.
Look, when Frank Martin started,
somebody that can really get 12 rounds. And listen, I'm a big Tank Davis fan. There's nobody in boxing right now. When you look at the post-fight stuff, the amount of celebrities that were in Vegas to watch Tank, I mean, he is box office. He's entertaining. But I still got question marks about pound-for-pound stats.
Look, Tank Davis has been very well guided. Have they stayed away from some landmines? Yes. Once Frank Martin started laying on the ropes, and even worse, getting trapped in the corner, I said, uh-oh, here it comes. It was like Jaws. You could hear the music. The shark fin was coming. I mean, I could tell by round 6, I said, oh, this is going to be tough. I said round 7 to 9. Here's the thing about Tank. He's great entertainment. He is a star. He's exciting. Stuff happens. But you're right, Shaun. When it comes to the very elite, because I think resume matters, your strength of schedule has to absolutely factor. We're talking about Inoue, Crawford, Usyk, Canelo. There's no way you could put him in that upper echelon with those guys.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Because the one thing we saw in this fight, Frank Martin was actually able to hit Tank Davis a lot. And where Frank's inexperience showed, he allowed Gervonta's foot pressure to cause him to exert a lot of energy. Like his inexperience, like anytime Gervonta got close, he felt the need to throw 3 jabs, you know, to rotate around. And that kind of wore him down late. You know, a guy that has a little more experience, has been in the fire more often, that can stay composed, you know, maybe he don't run out of gas. And I'm not saying Tank can't beat those guys. I just see now why they've matched him like they have.
Yeah, but I feel like moving forward, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, like, I don't see, like, his next fight is going to have to be some guy that we respect. I don't see another way out now.
I think in a perfect world, they want Lomachenko. I don't know if Lomachenko will take the fight, but that's in a perfect world.
I heard there's interest. I've heard from the Lomachenko side, they are now actively working to at least negotiate that bout. I heard that about 2 weeks ago. Bob Arum has said in recent days, that's what we're honing in on. And look, your dance partner matters in boxing because your pay-per-view numbers will directly affect your bottom line. And this is not like a concert. When you go to see Janet Jackson or Taylor Swift, you're there to see that one person. It's a performance. In a sporting activity like boxing, who you're clashing with matters because that's going to affect your pay-per-view sales. I don't think this pay-per-view did all that well. But if you really want to make the money he did with Ryan Garcia, who was box office, who's a little bit of a mirage, he's going to have to fight some of those names you mentioned, Shaun.
Now,
there's no doubt about that.
Tank Davis, to me, is more box office than Garcia. Garcia may do better pay-per-view numbers, but, man, Tank brought every star, celebrity from every sport, entertainment. Like, you got to give him the credit. He's got that. I will say this before you go. If I'm managing Benavidez, I go back to 68. I'm not fooling around at 75 against Bivol and Better B.O. You can tell that punch isn't as stingy at 75 as it was at 68. I'd be careful if I was Benavidez.
Yeah, we'll see if he can even get back down. Generally, fighters of his age, I think he's 27, 28, once you go up, you're not going back down. I thought the first 6 rounds he looked pretty good.
I did too.
The last 6, there was some reality in terms of physics. And look, Benavidez, there's always been this perception that he's this monster puncher at 68.
It's volume.
He's not. He's a guy that wears you down through attrition and, as you say, volume. And you look at his resume, there were some blown-up middleweights, Boo Andrade, David Lemieux, Kyron Davis. So he's not Julian Jackson. So I didn't think that his power would necessarily translate at 75 because I didn't think he was necessarily a devastating one-punch knockout artist at 68. Here's the problem, Shaun. If he goes down to 68, number one, there is no guarantee of him fighting that redhead from Mexico. Okay? And number two, there will now be pressure to face a very talented guy by the name of David Morrell, who I think is all wrong for Benavidez. I like Morrell a lot.
And see, I think because it's such a step up in class for Morrell, Benavidez outclasses him the second half of the fight. I think it's kind of like the Tank Davis, Frank Martin. Well, Morrell's a better prospect.
Well, Morrell has more power. Keep that in mind.
He's a better prospect than Frank Martin. But I think Benavidez is too experienced at the world-class level to lose to Morrell. But I think it's a definitely good fight. I just would say, Benavidez, don't allow lack of opponents to make you move into a weight that's not perfect for you. It's nothing wrong with being Bernard Hopkins.
That is true. Although here's the thing with David, his lifestyle. I don't know if anyone's ever going to be as disciplined as B-Hop. He's the most disciplined human being that I've ever known. The one thing about Benavidez, he's going to have to be active. I hope he fights again later this year. I don't know what took him so long, but again, the dates at the PBC have been a little bit scarce. But again, Benavidez is another guy, very exciting, very entertaining. But I will say this: let's see if Canelo pulls the trigger. If he doesn't pull the trigger on the fight this year, I don't think it's going to happen.
Canelo's not fighting anybody that he thinks he can lose to at this point. And why would he? Like the one thing I argue with people about Canelo, they give Canelo a hard time. Yes, he has ducked Charlo, the big Charlo. Yes, he has ducked Benavidez.
No. He didn't duck the big Charlo. Get out of here with the Charlo. There's nothing to duck there. There's nothing to duck there.
Steve Kim, when Big Charlo was active, I'm not talking about this new version of
Active.
Big Charlo.
Which presidential? Who was Trump was the president at that point. Those were better days.
Reagan. It was Reagan.
Reagan. Yeah, Trump. Charlo was never a threat.
Hey, JB, here's the hard thing when you argue Canelo ducking somebody. He's got the best resume of any active boxer alive.
Right, but here's where it's impossible to debate it. When you bring up Charlo, it's already difficult. But when you bring up Charlo, then you lose me. You completely maybe the Charlos at the same time, 2-on-1 may have given Canelo a shot, but one of them didn't even try. The one brother was so bad, and it basically eliminated the other. The other brother has not fought a lot.
So the Big Charlo has been inactive, but I'm talking about the version we thought when he knocked out Julian Williams, and he was on that career arc. I'm talking about
that was in 2016.
I know, man. Well, it ain't like any boxer's active. All these guys fight once or twice a year at max.
They actually fight once every other year, the Charlos. They're actually inactive by today's standards. That's how bad that is.
Okay,
they're inactive by today's standards.
Because you were going to poke holes in Charlo. What I was talking
about,
they're
going to look like Swiss cheese. Don't bring up Charlo. When you talk about Canelo, I'd give you Benavidez. I'd give you Morrell.
No, I'm a Canelo fan.
Charlo. Oh my God! I'm gonna be like Canelo. Jim Mora. Charlo?
Hey, I'm a Canelo fan.
You kidding me?
Charlo? I defend Canelo. If I can make 50 million plus fighting anybody, I'm not fighting Benavidez either. I don't care what y'all say.
Okay, well then we won't. The public probably won't buy it.
but JB, here's the thing: when you talk about Canelo and his matchmaking, Smitty. Him going up to 75 to fight Bivol is the toughest opponent of any of the top 5 guys in the pound for pound.
Yeah.
Now, he lost the fight, but people act like he didn't go fight Bivol.
Right. He did it. He took it.
I don't see any of those other guys fighting anybody of that level of risk.
Look, I'm with you on that. And I told people, this could be a problem.
Man. Well, Steve, we appreciate you, my guy.
You killed it. You on Whitlock later?
Yeah, I'm on Whitlock later, and then what else am I doing? Oh, by the way, 3 knockdown rule comes out. Full review of Tank Davis with Mario Lopez and I, so check that out.
Hey, you got anybody on from these recent fights lately?
No, not this week. We're gonna have another guest probably next week. We've been on a pretty good run with Alexander Usyk and Bob Arum, and then that's just me and Mario this week.
All right, Steve. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. See you later, Shaun.
All right, brother.
All right, there. Shaun, I actually got to go too, man. I got a meeting I got to get to, but I wanted to at least say, stand for a few minutes with my guy. Make sure y'all hold it down, end the show the right way. JB, Bailey, if y'all need me, hit me up.
Hey, Shaun.
I'm out of here.
Smitty's out. New co-host, Shaun King.
Uh-oh.
Shaun, let's dive into we got a bunch of shit. Let's dive right into it right now. Right. The Celtics take the lead over my Lakers. 18 banner hung last night. And here's my takeaway from this. As they hang 18, the Lakers are sitting here without a damn coach. It's a damn shame. Like, I don't remember a team this late in the season after the NBA Finals is over, and you're a team that's looking up at your rival, your arch nemesis, and you don't have a coach. And today, the Clippers, 5 hours ago, hired Jeff Van Gundy to assist Ty Lue. And again, another coach goes by that we're not snatching up. It just tells me the entitlement of this whole LeBron James thing. It tells me they're going to draft his son. It tells me that they're leaning on LeBron to make the hire, because there's no way we're in July. We're headed into July and this organization don't have a head coach. I'm just finding it hard pressed. And now, not only did they win 18, Shaun, it seems light years away that the Lakers will even catch 18, a little less go up to 19. It seems like this organization has hit rock bottom since Jim Buss has passed, or Mr. Buss has passed away. And I just don't see the leadership there. I don't see – it just seems hard. The bubble championship, we can argue all we want. But to be honest, 10 years prior to Kobe passing away and him playing his last game, dropping 60 on Utah, it seems like that organization for 10 years prior to Kobe finishing has been bad. And now we're another 5 years past COVID, and we're looking to hire another coach, 7th coach since Phil Jackson. So where are you at with this whole – marry the two together? The Celtics winning their 18th, the Lakers sitting here without a coach. I don't know.
I think the organizations have gone in different directions because of ownership management giving too much player empowerment to one, and it kind of becoming cancerous from the outside looking in. You never really know how the day-to-day operations go inside the organization unless you're there. But at least it looks like from the outside in that player empowerment is too high with the Lakers, because that's why they have difficulty attracting a quality, legit head coach. Nobody wants to come in there as the head coach and be coached and have to answer to players. They want to come in there if they want to play a different form of offense, or if they want to instill, more of a defensive-minded, aggressive approach. They want to be able to do that because their success and failure, is going to depend upon it. Whereas in Boston, Ime Udoka, I think it's how you say his last name, we're going to play aggressive defense. We're going to be physical. He's that kind of guy. Boston empowered him to be that kind of coach. A lot of it has to do with the fact that the guy that was the former head coach is now the GM. So he sympathizes with being a head coach in the NBA. When it happened, when Udoka got fired, they promoted from within. And obviously Mazzulla had developed the right kind of relationships with the superstars behind the scenes. And that when he became the head coach, they respected him on a level as the head coach. He wasn't one of their partners. He was somebody that could take you out the game if you weren't playing hard. He could limit your minutes if he felt like somebody else was a better option. And so I think you've seen the result of that from a success standpoint. Whereas, and you never see the things in LA in Boston. Like, and I'm talking about D'Angelo Russell, the timeouts going on, he's on his phone, looking at like Anthony and LeBron not playing, there's things in LA that you don't see happen in Boston. I think Boston's a healthier organization, and that's why they're winning now and the Lakers aren't.
Yeah, it's definitely night and day right now. From Danny Ainge passing it the buck to Brad Stevens to what he's doing, he's absolutely killing the Rob Pelinka-led, Jeannie Buss-led Lakers organization, which seems more like daddy ball and homies, and they want to be cool, and they're living on this. And Steve brought us up, if the Lakers really going to sign LeBron to a 3-year, $160 million deal, they're just basically committing suicide in the NBA's way of thinking, because there's no way you sign him. That means you're definitely picking his kid at 17 then. That's what that tells me. Like this, and then you're just a debacle. Like I just don't see it. There's too many needs on that roster, in my opinion, especially when you got a 40-year-old and a guy that's as talented as AD is, who just misses games. Like, I just don't understand how you're really going to hope and wish in one hand and shit in the other one and see what fills up first. I don't know, man.
And to be honest, Pelinka, in my opinion, when he got that job, he tried so hard to befriend and accommodate LeBron James, and then they had the success of winning it in the bubble. So now it's impossible at this point to detach from that relationship. It's almost like if he wants to make a move, he's got to get LeBron's approval. Whereas Brad Stevens, he decided that a fan favorite, Marcus Smart, we can't win a championship with that lack of offensive production. He moved Marcus Smart, brought in a Drew Holiday, and look at the difference that made in the finals. Drew Holiday was playing great defense, but also finishing at the rim, knocking down shots. I know Jaylen Brown got MVP, but the piece that played above what we anticipated was Drew Holiday, in my opinion.
Yeah, and White was pretty good.
To me, White's always been White.
Yeah.
He looks a little more respectable now because he cut that your hair off instead of having that edge like in the middle of his head. But like
now his teeth
performance-wise, he's solid.
Now his teeth's fucked up. I don't know. Look, here's the thing about it though. Like, you looking at this thing from like outside in, like Pelinka got the job though. Like, we got to rewind and go back. Why? We got to ask the whys. He got the job because he was Kobe's boy. And like, let's be honest, his resume don't scream greatness. He was Kobe's manager or agent. He gets the job. And then you got Jeannie Buss, who basically the job was handed to. I got to hang out with a guy who lived with with Dr. Buss for 10 years. He was in the Laker organization for 10 years. Or for 20 years, he lived with Doc Buss for 10 at his house. And he had a kid and he got out of the Laker organization later on. But he was like, JB, Dr. Buss gave that organization to Jim Buss. Jim Buss came out and said, I give it 3 years. If I don't succeed, I'm passing the buck and giving majority stakes to Jeannie. And Jeannie saw that, took it, and basically now those two have a beef because there's clearly a power play being handed, and Jeannie's believing in Rob Pelinka with really no prior experience other than being Kobe's agent. And now you wonder why you're in this predicament. Like, I just don't see how the Laker organization has fallen this far off since Dr. Jerry Buss died. Like, it's just bad. He's rolling over right now. I don't know.
Here's what's interesting, because anytime I discuss things like this, I like to ask, how do you fix it? So my question to you, based on where they're at right now, how do you fix the Lakers so that they're competitive in the next year or two?
So you failed at the coach that I liked going after, at least a guy that I thought was going to demand.
Danny Hurley?
Yep. Okay. I thought at least it was a culture fit for a 10-year run, maybe. At least 5 years. Give me 5 right now. I'll be happy with the same coach for 5 years. But let me ask you this. Would you rather pay a guy like Dan Hurley $100 million? See, I thought they should have threw him $100 million, especially with California taxes being what they are. There's no way you're going to take that from living in Connecticut. Property taxes and shit in Connecticut are high, but damn, California taxes are the #1 in the country. So I saw the writing on the wall. That wasn't enough money, number one. Number two, do you throw $100 million at a coach? Just say there's a guy right now available that you like. Do you throw $100 million at him, or do you throw $100 million into the salary and go get you some young go-getters, some perimeter defenders, some shooters, some guys to surround AD with? At this point, AD should be the focal point if you're going to keep him. That's just my point. That's just my take. Because LeBron is, let's be honest, he still produces, and we understand his body's a freak of nature, and he's 40 years old and all this. But AD is clearly, as he goes, the Lakers go. The statistics show that and prove it. How do you build around an AD, though, and keep LeBron and not go get perimeter players? I just think they lack too many perimeter guys. If you look at Boston's team, look at the perimeter guys they could throw at you on the edge. And then you could throw a Jaylen Brown, a guy who can be your leading scorer any night, lock down their best player, Luka, and then still have Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, and Porzingis, if healthy, shooting perimeter shots and leading the league in threes. Like, I just think the Lakers are so far away from that. So I don't know, man. I
will say the number one problem, JB, with getting the right coach is not financial; it's power. Like,
right.
You
say
can't
so.
get
What it say is, yeah.
Right. You can't get a legitimate desired sought-after head coach to come in there if he has to go through Pelinka to make any kind of personnel decision. If he has to go through LeBron to decide what kind of systems they want to run. Like, so I think that's number one.
Is that why you think Hurley didn't take it? Real talk? I think that's why.
100%. Yeah. And I think Hurley has spoken to enough guys that have made the jump, Billy Donovan, Brad Stevens, like some other guys, to know the differences, to be able to have, like, people who have made the jump and be able to have, like, real life, okay, well, here's what's good about it, and here's where, it can get tricky. And I think if those things that have proven tricky for previous guys weren't ironclad in his mind, then why leave UConn, especially coming off a back-to-back national title?
Shaun, I read something, Shaun, that's funny. Like, these guys in the chat that like this right here, this guy, Bronny will be better than a lot of these older vets sitting on the bench. Just so a fun fact, Dan Hurley didn't recruit Bronny to UConn. Why do you think you would want to coach him in the NBA?
Now, my only pushback to that would be Steph Curry went to Davidson.
No, I get it.
So, I mean, sometimes, like, there are some misses.
Oh, yeah.
And
I talked about it yesterday in football.
Here's my take on Bronny. And I have this discussion with a lot of guys in different chats and friend groups that I have as we smoke cigars and talk sports. The NBA drafts Bronny James in the first round every year.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to isolate and make a point of Bronny James going late lottery or sometime in the first round. This is what the NBA does every year. You can't tell me a first round where there aren't 15 guys selected. You have no idea who they are. You've never seen them play 1/4 of basketball. Some of them don't even come to the NBA for 2-3 years. So, I mean, that's just kind of how the NBA is situated. So if I was gonna make another run with LeBron and AD, and I thought drafting Bronny would give me leverage with LeBron or would pacify LeBron so that he stayed. If I wanted to move forward, LeBron, I wouldn't have a problem doing that. I actually think Bronny's going to develop into a decent NBA player at some point. Is it right away? No. But the NBA draft is about projection. It's about potential. It's not about where these guys are right now.
My only fight back to you on that is my eyes still work. I saw Steph Curry at a Davidson and averaged 30 points or whatever the hell he averaged. I saw this guy Bronny average damn 3 points at USC on a team that really wasn't very good. So it wasn't like USC had 6 first-round NBA players like Kentucky. This is Bronny James struggling to score on a team with no scores at USC. So, like, there's a difference in those things. And I brought it up yesterday, Shaun, about football. We missed for sure. Josh Allen went to Wyoming after JUCO with no other D1 offers. Trey Lance went to an FCS with no other opportunities, and then he gets drafted first round, and now we're sitting there saying, hey, man, these guys, look at Josh Allen's going to be a Hall of Famer. We missed for sure. I'm just saying, I equate it to this, though. The college basketball landscape, Shaun, has been this way since the AAU movement, and this has been the most watered-down sport in all the sports for a long time, because a lot of teams you see in the NCAA tournament, a 16 Florida Gulf Coast or whatever beating a 1 seed for the first time ever is when I started to see the tides change, because it is very, very watered down because of the portal, because of teams that are like Davidson being able to get a diamond in the rough.
But speaking of Steph Curry, in Steph Curry's draft in 2009, Hasheem Thabeet was the number 2 pick in that draft. Tyreek Evans, Ricky Rubio, and Johnny Flynn all went in front of Steph Curry.
No, you make a great point. I get it.
Drew Holiday went 17th in that draft. Jordan Hill, Terrence Williams, Gerald Henderson, Earl Clark, Austin Day, James Johnson all went in front of Drew Holiday. So the NBA screws it up all the time.
Yeah, but I would argue if you look at Embiid, because I remember him coming out, he was at least a formidable force in college when he played. We're literally talking about a guy that didn't do shit in college. It's just LeBron James' son.
Shaden Sharp was what was it last year, the year before for the Trailblazers? I think he sat out, didn't even play. He went to Kentucky, didn't play a game, and still was a top 5 pick based on what he did in high school. So I mean, I'm not saying that Bronny in a perfect world is deserving of a lottery pick. I'm just saying the way the NBA is currently set up, with the way that they actually don't even really value draft picks, guys trade 6 future first rounders all the time in these deals. Like, it's not like Bronny James is an outlier as far as a team drafting a guy that maybe his resume doesn't say first round pick.
I want to transition. We got a lot to ask you today. I want to go into NFL real quick and just discuss this New York Jet, Aaron Rodgers. Get your take as a former player. Matt and Smitty got into it yesterday over this Deion Sanders thing we're going to dive into. But this Aaron Rodgers thing, before Matt got off, we both kind of agreed. Big deal or no deal that he's missed this mandatory deal, and now – here's my take. I actually flipped the coin on this. Hassan Reddick has yet to report either. He wanted to trade from the Eagles. He wanted to go there. He wanted to sign a contract. I better not hear anybody hating on him, because at the end of the day, your face of the franchise is not there. So when did we think that this wasn't going to be a deal? I just think bigger deal. This is
2 different things for me completely. One thing you learn in professional sports is when a man has an issue with what he's being paid, that's not your business. And Hassan Reddick is not with the Eagles because he feels like he's underpaid. When you look at the fact that he's had double-digit sacks the last 4 years in a league that's yearning for guys that can get to the quarterback, he has a point. He comes to the Jets. They have not redone that deal. You don't know what that conversation was. We'll revisit it. We'll redo it. He's holding out because of money. Here's why I think Aaron Rodgers not being there is a big deal. They come out with these schedules as soon as the season ends. This is not like Aaron found out when mandatory training camp or minicamp was last week. Like, he's known when the Jets' mandatory minicamp was. If you're going to miss something, miss the voluntary OTAs. don't miss the mandatory stuff. Like, this is where I have a problem with it. And this is why I think in a lot of ways, Aaron's selfishness has limited his ability to win team-oriented stuff, meaning Super Bowls.
Late in the game, Shaun, the red zone against Tampa, and you choke on the run guard line. Yes.
Yeah, individually, he's as good as we've ever seen in this league, but he is extremely selfish and self-centered. And his viewpoint on a lot of stuff is only based on what Aaron thinks. It doesn't bring in how it impacts others. And so, can he go on and have a great year? Yeah. My problem is you're my starting quarterback. You've known when mandatory minicamp was. Why can you go on a ayahuasca retreat during the OTAs or a different damn time? That's the only problem I have with it.
And that's why I argue with Smitty. I'm like, Smitty, stop talking about, well, he showed up non-mandatory. It doesn't matter because it fit his selfish schedule. That is what the bottom line is. I don't care about non-mandatory. Guess what? You didn't have to be there. You played 3 snaps last year, Shaun, on a team that was really, really roster heavy and I thought was keen to go make a run. And then you left it to a quarterback that's wet behind the ears, not ready to go, who was really comfortable on the backup holding the clipboard, and then all of a sudden, oh, shit, I got to go in. And you know how that is for a guy that's really been kind of, he's kind of a deer in headlights in Zach Wilson. So now it's my show, and that whole roster you saw just go, oh, the air was deflated out of him. And now this guy, to me, plays 3 games, and then doesn't want to have the competitive fire or zeal to get back and prove and show that this is the team, we're going to win this thing. There's a reason why I credit Tom Brady so much, Shaun, because Tom Brady, what he did, it was so hard that you're seeing these guys aren't willing to do what he did. That's why he won those rings.
And so anybody in the chat that's saying Brady missed training camp with the Bucs, that was because of something that happened in life unexpectedly. He had a relationship issue that ultimately led to him getting divorced. To me, that's different than when the season's over, the Jets shoot this schedule out to everybody on the team. And when you look at the turmoil the Jets have endured, rumors about everybody in the organization not being on the same page, to have your franchise starting quarterback miss anything mandatory, to me, just a bad look.
It is a bad look.
It's so easily preventable. It's so
I think
easily
it stacks
preventable.
up. I think it stacks up, Shaun. And listen, this is the argument Smitty and I have. Smitty keeps going back to his individual skill set. We know that him missing this camp right now is not going to affect him throwing a damn hitch, a slant, or a bang eight for a touchdown. We get it. I get that. But does it affect the overall ability to win a ring and put him over the top? Because if he don't get a second ring, Shaun, let's be honest, Mahomes already surpassed him. He's still trailing Aikman, Elway. He's basically even with Favre. And you're sitting there talking about maybe the most skilled ball spinner of all time with 1 ring, who's choked more NFC title games off. What is the reason? And you're looking at this stuff stacking up saying this very well might be the reason. And that's why I look at this stuff.
It is. And I mean, what makes it even worse is when asked about it, you can tell that Coach, how you say, is it Salah? Salah. You can tell how disappointed and frustrated he is with Rodgers.
That's why I wish he would have said nothing, because he looked bad.
Yeah, and I mean, when you come out and say he said he misses because it's something that's important to him, that goes back to that selfish, self-centered approach that Aaron has. Like, Aaron approaches the offseason like, my time is more valuable than any of my teammates' time is to them.
And Shaun, it's almost like he said that to like put it on his resume. So when he gets fired this year, he said, hey, this is why I got fired. This selfish motherfucker didn't show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, Salah kind of said it that way. And I look at it like he's protecting himself, putting it on wax. But down the other end, I'm like, dog, you shouldn't have said anything, because you can't go in one eye and say it was important to him, but then the other out the other mouth say it's an inexcused absence.
And where it makes it hard for Salah is, how do I now hold accountable some of these other guys?
Yes, Hassan
because
Reddick.
They're seeing this, they're reading this, and they're like, well, damn, shit, I got stuff to do too. I'm missing my niece's graduation. My grandmother turned 85 the same weekend we had mandatory minicamp. my brother-in-law, is getting a big 50th year retirement. Like, everybody got stuff going on. And during OTAs, it's understandable. But the mandatory stuff, like, your starting quarterback should be there outside of somebody dying or some kind of, family situation that just, was unpredictable.
Shaun, that's why I'm like, you just can't say that. I mean, it just makes you look bad for the other guys at the end of the day. Like, unexcused, and then he's excused, and then it's like, dog, it's a bad look in my opinion.
And
the
listen,
leadership.
If I was, and how do you say his last name again? I'm sorry.
Saleh.
If I was Coach Saleh, listen, man, I'm already on rocky ship. I'd have been like, hey, this is one of the problems around here. I'm the head coach, and I found out last second that our starting quarterback wasn't going to be here. But obviously, he got approval from somebody that's above me. So until we get that fixed, then it's going to be a little more difficult for us to win than we think.
Yeah,
and just call a spade, because,
yeah,
I mean, hell, at the end of the day, that's one of the Jets' biggest issues. They didn't hire a football player; they hired a celebrity, and they're allowing him to do celebrity-type shit.
Yep, do it afterwards. Do your what do you call it? He hosted a goddamn what's that talk show? Jeopardy. Jeopardy. He hosted Jeopardy. He was talking about, I want to be Jeopardy's host when what's his name dies or leaves, and then you're the vice president of RFK's running buddy. Like, what are we talking about? Are you going to win a Super Bowl or not? If you're not, let the next guy in line get in line and start prepping for a quarterback change before it gets too late, because you're going to lose that whole damn. By the way, Shaun, you know how important this is. This guy got Mike Williams in there. How much ball time and camaraderie have you guys really established?
Yeah, to figure out the nuances of how you
run around, versus press, versus off.
Because he's so comfortable because it's Hackett in him, and they've been together forever. So he's looking at it like, I mean, I'm good. I don't need this or that. But some of those other guys aren't as comfortable. They need reps with you at the line of scrimmage with your hand signals and, your different eye twitches and stuff that you had with Devontae Adams, where you guys kind of were in sync. Like, those guys need those reps, man. And listen, for anybody that thinks I'm not pro player, I am. I think guys should be as diverse as they can be off the field, like create all kind of different revenue streams. But I also think if football is what has gotten you to this platform, then football should be a priority.
I think you should pay homage to it. You should pay homage to what's got you money.
Like, all the other stuff, like, that shouldn't get in the way of anything football.
I just think you disrespect the people that came before you that did not have this opportunity to make this damn much money. And now I think it's a slap in the face to the forefathers of this game that actually played with broken legs and Jack Youngblood and cutting off fingers and Ronnie Lott and all the shit we did. Yeah, I get it. You don't have to go that way now. You're softer generation. It's all good. But at the end of the day, damn, pay some sort of homage to the sport itself, the game itself. Screw the players and the coaches. The game itself that got you this thing. You're talented. You were touched by the gods, though, Shaun. Aaron Rodgers was touched by the gods. Now he's got to figure out, all right, I got all this talent. Nothing worse in the world than a waste of talent, in my opinion. Let me
know what?
Go ahead.
You know what's kind of, it's not sad because, I mean, he's gotten the bag multiple times. But I think at some point, Aaron's going to look back on how he's viewed once he stops playing, and he's going to realize he missed a really, really big opportunity because he was a great story. Everybody remembers Rodgers on draft day, falling to the end of the first round, thinking that
JUCO
he'd be drafted much higher. A guy that went to JUCO, that took like the unbeaten, off the grid path to get to that level of success, that had to back up a starter that wasn't supporting him. People forget Favre wasn't helping Aaron Rodgers. He actually was the one that came out and said, it's my job. It's not my job to get Rodgers ready. And then being able to replace a legend and not missing a step, like, he could be viewed in such a different light if he just wasn't so self-centered and selfish. Come on, Aaron. God damn.
I know, man. Let's transition to the team that Aaron cannot beat, the Frisco Niners. They have a peculiar situation in the whiteout room. I started the show off with a little rant about it. I think now that the market's been set so high at the receiver position that number twos think they're number ones now. and they all think they're going to get the big bag of money. The Armand St. Brown's, the what CeeDee Lamb's about to get, Justin Jefferson money, Tyreek Hill money. I don't believe Brandon Aiyuk's that guy. That's just my opinion. I don't think T. Higgins is that guy. I think T. Higgins is really, really good. I just don't think they're ones on any particular team unless you're on a team that lacks a one. Because we got too many twos out here that are on teams like DJ Moore in Chicago last year. Everyone thought was a real true one. I don't think he's a real one at all. I think he's a two playing the one role. I don't know if these guys understand that there's a huge difference in systems and how they play a role in Mike Shanahan's system. And there's a reason why Aiyuk and Debo are both in the trade rumors spot because of the system they run. And then people are comparing him to Nico Collins in tech. I said, first of all, it's a whole nother system. This is C.J. Stroud, who's a ball spinner who drops back and hits his fifth step and the ball is out, versus Brock Purdy, who we run waggle, boot naked, RPO, and play pass with a lot of different things in the backfield with CMC motion and Debo getting reverses, Aiyuk on the backside, moving him into the slot, getting a mismatch on the safety. Aiyuk's not the guy to just isolate on a number one corner and just ISO ball his ass all game long. I haven't seen it anyway. So I'm trying to figure out who do they trade him for, because it seems evident right now that he's going to be moved. Who is his best fit, and why? Is that why they drafted the white kid out of Florida? And is that why they did that? Because they knew one of these guys was gone? And who do you feel that can benefit from an Aiyuk?
Well, let me say this. T. Higgins is a definitive number one wide receiver, JB. All right, man. There are times.
I know you said that before, yeah.
Yeah, I know Jamar Chase had a phenomenal rookie year, but since Chase rookie year, you can make an argument that T. Higgins has been better. Like, he is legit. He's trying. He thinks he deserves what he's seeking.
The only reason I disagree is if you took away Boyd and Chase, I don't think Higgins is a one. I don't think Higgins is a one.
Higgins legit number one on any team. Here's the thing that Brandon Aiyuk and his agent are arguing. I've been with the San Francisco 49ers for 4 years. I played with Sam Darnold, fucking Trey Lance, and then a 7th round pick who's played out of his mind in Brock Purdy. And I've still had 2 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns the last 2 years. And this is considering that we give the ball to Christian McCaffrey 85% of the time we're inside the 10-yard line. So he is arguing that my production could damn near be double this if I had stability at quarterback for my entirety here and if we were more of a passing team in the red zone. So I get why he's seeking legitimate top-tier money, because for him, this is his one shot. This is one shot to break the bank. If he takes a discount on a 4-year deal, God forbid something happens, he'll never, get back where he's got this kind of leverage. And so I get Aiyuk's argument. I also get why San Francisco drafted a wide receiver. They're looking at it from a team standpoint, not a talent standpoint. We just paid Debo, who's probably on the back end of his career, more than he probably was worth at the time we paid him. We paid Debo to kind of make up for him performing for us at below his level salary. If we pay Aiyuk what he's seeking, we got a whole bunch of other guys coming up here in the next year or two that we won't be able to compensate. So I don't think this is a knock on Aiyuk. I think this is John Lynch and Shanahan saying we can't pay everybody based on the current salary cap. So if we're going to cut a corner, let's do it at this position, because we'll still have Kittles, Debo Samuel, and the kid from Florida who they like a lot.
And Jennings, I think they got.
Right, and Jennings, 15 too. So I see both sides of this argument.
I started to show off. Shaun, I started to show off with this take that you're leading into here. I started off with this Aiyuk thing about the player empowerment, and you call it entitlement. I agree. But to your point, to rewind this whole topic and talk about the coaches and you being a player's guy, and I am as well as a coach and a recruiter, you got to be a player's guy. At the end of the day, build a relationship. But I'm trying to figure out, when do we say, we just talked about Frank Vogel being fired a year after they won a bubble championship. The dude over in Milwaukee got fired a year after they won a title. Nick Nurse loses a year after he gets a title in Toronto, gets fired. But we don't. But then we're okay on giving Aaron Rodgers a pass when the ultimate ending is going to be Robert Saleh's firing. But we don't ever bring that up. We always just dismiss the coach being fired for what reasons and then just talk about player empowerment. Brandon Aiyuk is on video, Shaun, to make this whole point go round.
I saw that.
Talking to Jay and saying that the Niners don't want me. This is, to me, going back to your point on being selfish with Aaron Rodgers. Like, come on, homie. Let's pay some homage to the team that drafted you, that's paying you or thinking about paying you, or even give you the opportunity to get traded and get a bag. Like, let's have some sort of forward thinking on being respect the game. And we're not going to say anything about him. We're going to clown and say that's all good. It's funny. But when the coach gets fired, Shaun, we don't give a shit. So, like, I'm just so tired of the player empowerment and throwing out your dirty laundry so quickly and then demanding a big bag later, though. If I'm another organization, Shaun, I'm like, nah, you going to blast me too? I don't know.
So to your first point, the Raptors, Milwaukee Bucks, and Los Angeles Lakers, none have gotten better by them firing those three coaches. So obviously, those are bad moves. To Brandon Aiyuk's point, I guarantee, JB, what he's asking, what they were talking about during the season, is less than Armand St. Brown or any of these guys have recently gotten. So if you got to put yourself in his shoes, he's not a high-profile celebrity wide receiver. So his only way to sort of get his message out is what he did. Hey, CJ, I'm about to FaceTime you. I'm going to have somebody film it. All I'm going to say is the Niners don't want me. Because he don't want the Niner fan base to be walking around thinking that he's this entitled, stubborn athlete. He knows what he's asking for is probably less than what these guys just got. And to me, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It comes down to this, JB. What is San Francisco willing to take in return for Brandon Aiyuk? And wherever he's going, do they have a salary cap space to accommodate him contractually? Because that's a big part of this. Nobody's going to trade for him if they're not willing to extend him and pay him.
Here's the point I made. I talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show. These players are hiring either fanboy agents like the clutch hole get down with LeBron and all these things, or they hire an agent out of college, right? And they get these guys, but then they go do agents' jobs. And I'm sitting there like, I brought this up 2 weeks ago. I said, why have an agent then if you're going to self-promote and self-sabotage, let's be honest, yourself? Because at the end of the day, if I'm judging you off what you do on social media, then your agent's not doing a goddamn good job, or your marketing team or your publicist is failing you, like John Morant's team did, like all these other guys that we see failing their clients. Why pay them, dog? Keep your money. Go do it yourself.
First of all, can you put the matches down? Shout out to Clutch Sports. Like, JB always trying to set shit on fire. Man, Clutch Sports, you guys do a hell of a job, man. Keep it up. God damn, JB, you could have made your point without taking a shot.
I didn't take a shot at Clutch. I'm just saying, why pay him?
I'll say this. It's got to be frustrating. And if you look at how San Francisco treated Debo went through the same thing. Didn't Debo miss like all the training camp or like 3/4 of it before they finally...
And now he's in the trade rumor mill.
Right. And that's got to be frustrating, especially when you put your heart and soul into something and you've never gotten the big bag before. To me, it's one thing if you're coming off of a $100 million deal. It's another thing. Brandon Aiyuk is on his rookie deal. So he making peanuts. You talk about the Lakers not offering Dan Hurley enough money to live in California. San Francisco's in California.
But remember, Shaun, this is the same guy we're talking about, though, like as far as Nico Collins is getting they're trying to compare him in the chat to Nico. And they're saying, oh, he's better than Nico, blah, blah, blah. And I had to break it down as far as they're completely two different humans in the way they play. But, like, Shaun, let's be honest, like, this kid went to JUCO, went to Arizona State afterwards. He's about to be 27. Nico's just turned 25. There's a huge 2 years in receiver in the NFL is a big difference, and you know that. So, like,
if you were Brandon Aiyuk's agent, over 1,000 yards receiving the last 2 years, 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns on a team that has no red zone targets for the wide receivers. You got to think about this. Christian McCaffrey is red zone option 1, 2, and 3. George Kittle is red zone option 4. Then jet sweeps and screens of Deebo Samuel are 5, 6, 7. So to almost have double-digit touchdowns in back-to-back years, over 1,000 yards receiving, I mean, I just think those are legit stats for a guy that's going into free agency. He's got all the measurables. He's got the size, the speed, the talent. I mean, I get why he's asking for market, standard money. And San Francisco has chosen not to pay him, but there are some teams, I think, that would value Brandon Aiyuk, where he would make a team a Super Bowl contender in my eyes. Hell, if I was the Chargers, I'd be looking to go get a Brandon Aiyuk. I mean, after getting rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and, looking out there and Quentin Johnson, second-year guy from TCU is probably my top wide receiver from a talent, man, I'd be looking to get a Brandon Aiyuk. Like, I think there are some places where he has value, and I'm not mad with him wanting the bag because he's never gotten it, JB.
Yeah.
He's on a rookie deal. So think about what making $7-8 million a year in California looks like at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this. Well, that's why I broke that whole tax thing down with the Hurley thing. And
right. You're saying $11 million a year wasn't enough for Hurley. Aiyuk's in that $7-8 million a year range. I mean, he's looking at that bottom line number like, man, this is ridiculous.
Hey, let's dive into some college football real quick. College QBs. And then I want to talk some transfer stuff with you. Then I want to get your Caitlin Clark Reese take. College quarterbacks. Bailey has a video. There's this. This is super misleading to I think the common naysayer out here or the casual fan. I'm gonna be honest. Dylan Gabriel hasn't thrown a pass in a Duck uniform, has he?
No.
A lot of these guys haven't, and I'm trying to figure out how we use these stats when, in theory, it's a complete different organization structure, new coordinator, new coach, new everything. And we're going to compare these and sit there and say, oh, this is what they did last year. Kyle McCord, to my recollection, was god-awful.
Yeah, that's got to be wrong. There's no
it was god-awful, and now he's in Syracuse, and people are tying him to Syracuse. He hasn't played there yet. So I want to be clear there, first of all, and start there. And then I want to go to the portal, the kids leaving. But where are you at with this ranking here? Where are you at with the returners in college football? And I don't see Shedeur Sanders on there. Who's returning to a team that, again, is going to have a new coordinator, though. See, people don't want to talk about it. There's a new system in place at Colorado, even though he's at the same school. So, again, there's going to be some trials and tribulations and some bumps in the road there for all these guys. Who do you like as far as, I guess, this stat line and then the top 5 Heisman candidates? Is there someone we're missing? Or
I'll say this. To me, if you're looking for a long shot, it's Jackson Dart. Because I think Ole Miss has a chance to win the national title next year.
I'm with you. I think Lane does a good job with the Qs.
Lane does a good job. He's going to have good stats. He's going to have good passing numbers and rushing numbers. Ole Miss is kind of that dark horse to me to win the Natty. Jalen Milroe, how does he fit, in the new system with Kalen DeBoer?
There's a reason why DeBoer brought that freshman with him.
Right. Like Nico from Tennessee. I mean,
he played a bowl game, Shaun. Everybody's putting him as the greatest. Look, I raised Nico. His daddy was my tight end in JUCO. I've known the family my whole life. Nico's a freak, but the thing is, he's got one game under his belt, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think he's extremely raw as a passer. I think he's more athlete than top-line quarterback right now. The reason a lot of people know about him was because of the massive NIL deal that he agreed to with Tennessee.
T-Mobile deal or whatever?
Yeah, that's how he came on everybody's radar. I mean, Carson Beck, the interesting thing with him, what will his numbers look like? He's going to stay in the top 2 or 3 long as George is undefeated, high profile, really good player. He's the guy that I think is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft because I think he's gotten better every year. Quinn Ewers is kind of an enigma, highly, highly thought of coming out of high school. He hadn't played bad at Texas, but I've not watched many Texas games and thought Quinn was the best player on the field. So he's got to take that next jump. I have no idea how Milroe fits with DeBoer. That other list, there are some guys on that list that I think are pretty good players. Brady Cook at Missouri is a kid to watch. Noah Fafita, the kid in Arizona, can really spin.
He's a local SoCal kid. I got to see him play around here too at Servite High School. He's legit.
And they got a big time wide receiver there too. And then Dylan Gabriel to me is a perfect fit because he's kind of been in that Oregon system at UCF and at Oklahoma. So that transition shouldn't be that bad. Plus, I think Oregon's loaded again. So there's some good players on there. The thing that gets you is, I'm with you. Like, how in the hell are Kyle McCord, Jalen Milroe, and DJ on this list? Like, they all got Jalen didn't get benched, but Kyle and DJ got benched last year. How the hell are they in top 5, 7 in QBR? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree. I want to transfer real quick to transfer portal numbers. We were talking about it, and it's easy to put Colorado at 1 on everything, but let's be honest. This is a college landscape issue, and the numbers are staggering to me, especially when I look at a USC, which is a blue blood, a Miami is the blue blood, Alabama, blue blood as it gets. Michigan State, I get it. To your point earlier last week, new head coach, Michigan State. New head coach, Indiana. New head coach, Alabama. Second-year guy in Braum at Louisville. Third-year, Miami. Arkansas State. Willie Fritz, great friend of mine. I think he's one of the greatest coaches in football. Over 200 wins at Houston. And then USC. Lincoln Riley doesn't get a pass. Now this is year 3 for him at USC. So, like, to me, I see this as a U problem when I look at the NCAA and the college football landscape. I just don't understand. So then you got transfers in, and it's like, aren't we robbing Peter to pay Paul? I guess that's my whole question, because these guys all played at those other schools too, and now we're just taking them to my school now. And it's like, this is a huge issue for me in college football. It's not just a Colorado thing. It's not a Miami thing. It's not a USC thing. I just don't see how it's sustainable and how we're expected to get a better product on the field for the NFL's purposes, which is the all-time telltale sign of how good you really are. I just don't think we're developing anybody, and this is going to continue to spiral out of control, and lack of development is what the key word is here.
Well, let's be honest, JB. Number one, this is not sustainable. Like, I don't think there's anybody that's going to rely on the transfer portal that's going to win consistently. You might catch lightning in a bottle one year, but being able to do it for multiple years and, create a program, with the right culture, one that's sustainable, I don't think you can live in the transfer portal and have that happen. To some of these new coaches, man, some of you guys got to show some patience. And I know some of it's on the player side. I know what a player loves to do is be loved. And, once you sign your dotted line coming out of high school, that love is not the same as it was when they were trying to get you, to sign that dotted line. And so you get somewhere and, well, coach ain't talking to me like he used to. I got to set an appointment. And kids get in their feelings. They homesick. And so the easiest thing to do is say, I'm going to leave. But at the end of the day, I think what we're going to see happen, it's going to resort back to how it was before. It's going to go back to high school recruiting and being able to evaluate, because I just telling you can't sustain this kind of turnover every year. Just Colorado, because they're the top on this list, not picking on them. I know he's doing what he thinks is best, and we'll see if it works. But having 44 go out and 41 come in, I don't see how that's sustainable. Look at Louisville. Louisville had 34 go out and 31 come in. Like, when you talk about relationships with the position coach, coordinator, understanding exactly what he has from a talent standpoint, how does this guy fit into the scheme? What's the best way for us to, attack teams based on the personnel? Hell, you don't really know what you got. I mean, you really don't. Like, the one thing I learned, as a coach, until they get on the grass, you don't actually know what a kid's real strengths and weaknesses are. Like, how does he catch the ball in contested situations? Like, how is he in open field situations? Can he make the tackle? Can he make a guy miss the tackle? Like, how does he handle, hard coaching? Can he handle mental fatigue? Or is he a guy, as soon as he gets tired, jumps off sides? Like, there's so many nuances, that go into, getting the best 11 out there. Man, that just takes practice. And when you got this kind of turnover, you're not getting a lot of practice.
Yeah. Let's end the show with some Hell Yeah, Hell No. Shaun, I got a great one for you. Hell Yeah, Hell No, brought to you by Prize Picks. Head on over there. Thanks to Shaun King joining us. Hell yeah or hell no? Les Miles should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Now, let me ask you, that's the question, Shaun. That's the question, Shaun, but I want to give you some context. I don't know if you've heard the latest news. He has sued LSU, claiming that the school vacated his wins as head coach and it's costing him College Football Hall of Fame qualification. Hell yeah, hell no. Take that away. Is this guy a Hall of Famer?
Hell yeah. That's a Hall of Famer. You can't take back what they did on the field. I don't want to hear all this foolishness about taking away wins, like especially because a lot of these transgressions are things that are readily allowable now. So the rules were archaic so long as they pertain to college football. I mean, this guy should be in the Hall of Fame. Les Miles, a hell of a coach. He did exactly what you want your coach to do. He won on the field. He developed talent. When he got it there, they had multiple guys, first-round picks, successful in the National Football League. They won SEC championships. They won Natty. I mean, come on. Les Miles is big time. Put him in the Hall.
Hell yeah, hell no. Nebraska will win more games than Colorado.
Ooh.
They play each other, too.
I'm going to say hell no, simply because I know what Shedeur Sanders is. I don't know was it Dominique Raiola is how you say the quarterback's name? I don't know exactly where he's at. I know he's talented. I know he comes from a great family.
Dylan, I think. Yeah.
Nebraska had a glowing deficiency last year. It was at quarterback. Until I see on the field that has been fixed, I'd have to go with the known commodity, which is Shedeur Sanders in Colorado.
Hell yeah, hell no. Coach Loxley is the most underrated black coach in college football.
Hell no, because he's the most underrated coach in college football, not just among the black coaches, but among coaches altogether. What he's been able to do at Maryland is pretty spectacular. I mean, people have to understand, when you're in a Power 5 conference, there are still levels from a support standpoint. And Maryland doesn't get anywhere near the support that almost everybody else in their side of the Big Ten gets. We're talking about they don't get as much support as Michigan State. We know they don't get as much as Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. So they're down the list, yet they're still finding a way to win 7, 8+ games every year. They're still getting guys drafted, in the NFL draft. So you got to take your hat off to what Loxley's been able to do there.
Hell yeah, hell no. Fran Brown, Syracuse Orange new head coach, will be a Coach of the Year candidate.
I like Fran Brown, but I'm going to say hell no, because I just didn't see enough of Kyle McCord at Ohio State to make me think that a Kyle McCord-led football team can compete for an ACC title. I know Clemson isn't as good as they were 3-4 years ago, but they're much better than Syracuse. Florida State's coming off of, a 12-1 season. Louisville's going to be good again, with Brom. I don't see a pathway in that. I don't see a pathway in that conference where a Kyle McCord team could lead Syracuse enough wins for Fran Brown to be even ACC Coach of the Year.
All right, I want to play a game with you to end the show. I'm going to give you 3 names. You're going to give me one that's fired. You're going to give me one that's going to win. And you're going to give me one. You're going to give me one that's going to be a complete bust. Dabo Swinney, Mario Cristobal, Dan Lanning. Fired, bust, and wins.
So Dan Lanning is the one with wins. Mario Cristobal is the one that gets fired. And I'm going to use the bust term for Dabo Swinney because of how far he's allowed Clemson to fall from where they were simply because of his stubbornness. His decision that we're not going to engage in NIL, we're not going to engage in the transfer portal like other teams. We're still going to hold fast to if you commit to Clemson, you can't take other visits. Like all of those nuances that kind of, created like this uniqueness about Clemson, now in my opinion are detriments when it comes to getting the top guys in college football. So I know I don't want anybody to beat me up because Dabo's never going to be a bust based on what they've won, but based on where they're at in 24 to where we thought they would be headed 1920, where they were and where we thought they'd be, I'm going to say bust.
But he hasn't lost anybody. He hasn't lost anybody in the portal for the most part, and I want to know if that, to our point, it's not sustainable losing so many. Can he actually win by keeping them now? So
but the difference to me is those kids he has, they're a notch or two down, but down from the kids he had. Like before this NIL transfer thing, Clemson was recruiting on the same level as Georgia and Bama. You know, they fall into like that 11, 12 range now. You know, as far as, because again, the high school kids are going where the bag is, and they're not giving NIL.
Yeah, no doubt. Last hell yeah, hell no. Hell yeah, hell no. Caitlin Clark should be on Team USA.
Hell yeah. The WNBA need to get their stuff together, man. Look.
$50 million in debt. Now they're going to lose $50 million with
when you're trying to grow a brand, like, and we're talking about women's basketball as a whole. Like, I'll be honest with you. I think there are some absolute ballers in the WNBA that don't get the recognition they deserve. But at the same time, the more eyes you start to get on said league, said sport, guess what? Now some of that talent becomes more recognizable because more people are seeing it. What does Caitlin Clark do for the Olympic team? She brings more eyes. You can't tell me she was more deserving than Diana Taurasi. Taurasi's been to 62 Olympics, man. She was in the Olympics when Michael Jordan and the Dream Team went. Like, come on, man. Taurasi's been around forever. No offense to Taurasi, one of the greatest women's basketball players ever. But having Caitlin on the team just in place of her, to me, would have been smart from the WNBA side. And I've said this about Caitlin. She deserves everything she's getting on the court because every big-time rookie has had to go through the same thing in other sports. And I tell you this, I think it's going to turn her into a true killer. She has the mental toughness. She might have been a little entitled. I think that's gone away. She's starting to play better. I think this offseason she's going to know that she has to get stronger. She has to work on her handle. And I think she's going to come back next year and really, you know, keep some receipts on some of the stuff that's happening to her now.
Yeah, I just hate this race baiting thing. Stephen A. and all these guys are trying to put out this. Like, man, we don't give a shit in the locker room. We didn't care who was white, black. We didn't care who coached us, who played with us. And nowadays, that's all we want to bring up. It's like, man, let this little girl be, man. Like, it's crazy to me.
And here's the thing I don't get. Who cares? If more people are going to the games and watching the games, does it matter if the reason is because she was white, black, Hispanic, European? It's good for everybody because now Shaun, it gives you an opportunity to showcase your talent to more people.
Shaun, this girl has brought more light to this sport than in the history of this sport and this league. Let's just say league. And they're about to be $50 million in debt again. In the NBA, I just don't see how they continue to back this thing up. Like, I just don't know if they can. If you're going to lose $50 million when I think her attendance in her games are 17,000, and the rest of the team's games are averaging 7,000.
Is that a real number, though?
That's a real number. 17,000 is her attendance when she plays in an arena.
No, I'm talking about the $50 million in debt because the player costs are so low. What are they spending the money on?
I don't know. I think it has to be travel. It has to be everything that they get with hotels, travel, planes, food, and then straight up marketing. Like, and I don't see the support. Like, I just don't see it. I don't watch it. I'm gonna be honest. Like, if you got a breakaway and you can't dunk, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm gonna be honest with you. It sucks for the women. I love the women that want to play. Because I don't want to speak out of both sides. We're defending women. I want to defend women that play. And now we're allowing men to enter a women's arena in a lot of sports. And we're like, come on, man.
Say this. I actually watched the WNBA. They got some really, really talented basketball players. You know,
I think Juju is a talented one of all of them, who I know right here in LA. I think she's gonna be the next.
She's a baller. I'll say this though. Here's what's interesting. Sometimes you want to be big time, but you don't want the things that come with being big time.
Yeah. No, you want to eat the sausage, but you don't want to see how it's made.
You can tell, like, there's a little sensitivity to some of the media criticism that goes with more people reporting and watching on your performance. Like, there's a little more heckling that you get when you go to visiting cities, the more people that are interested in your product. So, some of that's going to create some thick skin with some of them. And, hey, you can't be thin-skinned and be big-time pro sports.
No doubt. Shaun, man, I appreciate you anchoring it down. And see you Friday. You good?
Yep, Friday morning.
Friday, we'll have you on. If we'll be here, I'll be here doing it from here. So, yeah. All right, brother. I'll see you. I appreciate it.
Bet.
Later. Shaun King, everybody. Appreciate him jumping on in for this last hour. Smitty had to go get to a meeting. We'll be back tomorrow. It's Work Boot Wednesday. We'll see if we're at the studio or not. I got so much going on that maybe I'll be here all week. I don't know yet. I got a lot going on, man. So we'll see. But anyway, appreciate everybody in the chat today, everybody out there, Dick Riders and all. Love you all. And we will see you tomorrow. Peace.
Issues get pressed so fast you don't get sacked like bags and baggage. Smitty and Jason Brown kill the ass.